gentlemen, I'll invite you to stand if you wish. And Chaplain Kearney.
Thank you, sir. Romans 13 says, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God." So, first I want to thank everybody for all the important work you do here, and remind you that you serve this community, but you also serve through this community. You serve God and His good purposes. Let us pray. Almighty God, you have given us this good land as our heritage. Grant that we remember your generosity and constantly do your will. Bless our city with honest industry, truthful education, and an honorable way of life. Save us from all violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil course of action. Grant that we, who often come from many places around the world, may become one people. Support us in defending our liberties, and go give those to whom we have entrusted the authority of governing the spirit of wisdom, that there may be justice and peace in our community. When times are prosperous, may our hearts be thankful, and in times of trouble, do not let our trust in you fail. May the work done here be a blessing to the city of Clarksville and the community at large. All this I pray through Jesus Christ my Lord. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Zacharias.
Here.
Councilperson McLaughlin. Here. Councilperson Little. Councilperson Red.
Here.
Councilperson Markey. Here. Councilperson Smith.
Here.
Councilperson Holloman.
Present.
Councilperson Allen.
Here.
Councilperson Reynolds.
Here.
Councilperson Streetman.
Here.
Councilperson Shakina.
Here.
Councilperson Lovato.
Here.
And Mayor Pitts.
Here.
All members are present, with the exception of Councilperson Little.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a special recognition. I'll call on Councilperson McLaughlin to recognize her special guest.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm honored to have my best friend since 7th grade, Carrie Valley, here in the audience tonight. She traveled all the way from Washington State, arrived in town at 4 o'clock, and decided to be part of Take Your Best Friend to Work Day.
Okay, we welcome you. Let's welcome you all the way from Seattle, please. Councilperson Streetman.
I would just like to recognize that we have a large group of students here from the Austin Peay State University President's Emerging Leadership Program. So I just want to welcome you all and say how glad we are to have you.
Please stand up so we can recognize you along with your outstanding mentor, Dr. Tim Winters. Let's welcome them. All right, thank you for being here. And we're now ready for the next item on our agenda, the Planning Commission report. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinances?
Ordinance 23, 2024-25, first reading, which is zoning case Z33, 2024, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Blackjack Investments for zone change on a tract of land fronting on the northern frontage of Ashland City Road, 725 plus or minus feet west of the Ashland City Road and South Rosewood Drive intersection, from R1 Single Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 24, 2024-25, first reading, zoning case Z34, 2024, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Marvin Curtis Merrill for zone change on a parcel of land fronting on the south frontage of Old Trenton Road, 1,370 plus or minus feet west of the Wilma Rudolph Boulevard and Old Trenton Road intersection, from R1 Single Family Residential District to R2D Two Family Residential District. And ordinance 25, 2024-25, first reading, zoning case Z 35, 2024, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mark Bullock for zone change on property fronting on the north frontage of West Rosby Road, 775 plus or minus feet west of the Wilma Rudolph Boulevard and West Rossview Road intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I move we go into public hearing.
Motion been made, properly seconded to revert to public hearing. Without objection, we are now in public hearing. First item on our public hearing list is item A, ordinance 23-2024-25, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville application of Blackjack Investments. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 23? Mr. Goodman, if you'll give us your name, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Chris Goodman. I'm a civil engineer for the project. Just want to address a few things on the project. We are fully aware of the FEMA floodplain, the 100-year floodplain. It is not affecting us. It's along our western boundary, and the hill actually works out pretty well for us to put drainage into that area, so it's not an issue for us. Also like to address the owners have already worked with the city about extending the, I guess it's rails of trails in that area, and work with them, so there will already be a buffer between them and existing subdivision to the east, and all those big nice trees that you see along there are gonna stay. So, be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Any member of council have a question? There's no button.
Oh.
You gotta This is the old-fashioned way, you gotta raise your hand. All right. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, I would just like to clarify that the maximum amount of houses that can be built are 320, but you are proposing how many in this lot? I think 250
I know it's much
units.
less than that, 180 is what we're kinda looking at.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've looked at the plans for this. So just want to make sure there's going to be 2 entrances to this development, correct?
Correct.
And they're both going to be on Ashland City Road.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And the plan was originally townhouses. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sale townhouses, yes.
All right. Thank you.
I have one.
All right, Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you. Were there any oppositions from anybody that lives in that area?
No, ma'am, there were no comments to the planning commission or anything known to us.
Okay.
Not one.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the council have a question for Mr. Goodman? Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 23? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 23? Next item on our public hearing list is item B, ordinance 24, 2024-25, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Marvin Curtis Merrill. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 24? Please, sir, give us your name, and you'll have 5 minutes.
My name's Curtis Merrill, and thank you, council. The property that I'm wanting to have rezoned has a old home on it. We're planning on demolishing that and just putting up 2 nicer homes. That's pretty much it.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Merrill? Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Actually, you're putting up 2 duplexes, right? So actually 4 or?
No, ma'am, it's 2 single family.
So I noticed that on the agenda, Mayor, when you look at the photos, it says 2A, but when you look at the actual ordinance, it says 2D. And I was wondering why. That's been quite a concern with the neighbor next door, and I had addressed that, but I thought that it was 2D.
I don't have an explanation. Councilperson Streetman is our representative on the planning commission. Do you have anything to offer on that?
I do not, sir. I apologize.
I have a picture of the homes that we're going to put there, if possible.
I think it's more a matter of the zoning classification question versus what you're planning to put there.
It does show as the R2D, 2-family residential district.
But right, on the photos, it's R2.
Mr. Merrill, would you be opposed to possibly us deferring this for 1 month to where we could get this straightened out to ensure that it's done correctly?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I do believe that it is touching a R2 piece of property. And if I'm not mistaken, behind the piece of property is a commercial piece of property also.
Okay, I'm sorry. you
I'll
have the
also
floor.
try and get some information prior to us voting.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Merrill? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 24? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 24? Next item on our public hearing zoning request list is item C, ordinance 25, 2024-25, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mark Bullock. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 25? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Mark Bullock. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm the owner and will be the developer and builder of the property in question. There's an existing home there now that is pretty much beyond upgrading, so my plan is to tear it down. There's 2 existing lots. I'm just requesting to split that into 3 lots so I can build some more affordable housing, something more cost effective. So other than that, any questions I have, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock. Any questions for Mr. Bullock? Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 25? Anyone wish to speak against ordinance 25? Councilperson Streetman.
So sorry, I was checking on the other. Mayor, I move we go back into regular session.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to regular session without objection. We're now in regular session. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. As a reminder, all motions, based on legal counsel, all motions are in the form of approval. Ordinance 23, 2024, 25, first reading. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 23. Any comment or question from council? Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, Mayor. I would like to ask that in the future, that these ordinances, they list the maximum occupancy as well as historical. We have here twice on ordinance, on item A and item B, we have the proposed number, which almost makes it, what is it called? No, I mean, what they're proposed and not the max, because this, they can actually put 320 units on here instead of, but this says 250, so I would like to know the legal number, or we could be, what is it, conditional zoning. So in the future, that's what I would like this to be.
We'll make that request. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, when we spoke about this under the Planning Commission report, if you look at the topography for this property, chances are the back part of it can't be developed because of the slope. And so, based on the maximum of that property is the number that was presented, and it's more realistic for what Mr. Goodman mentioned to be built because of drainage and the topography. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds.
I would just like to say that that would be the historical. I mean, I would like to know that number, but we also know legally how many they could legally put on any piece of property. Because under the R2D on the next one, the property is actually large enough, if we voted it for R2D, he says 2 units, but he could actually put 4 units on that lot. And that's why I think it's important to know the maximum and then the historical.
Okay. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts.
Yes.
Okay, that's 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 23 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 24, 2024, 25, first reading. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 24. Any comment or question? Councilperson Streetman.
I think there's some confusion both on the part of the case we have in front of us, as well as the applicant for what exactly he wants. So I think at this time, what we should do is postpone this until next month. It may be that he actually needs to take it back through the Regional Planning Commission for a different type of zoning, if that's what he wants, and we can make that decision in a month. But without knowing at this point, my recommendation is, I make a motion that we postpone until the next regular session.
Second.
Okay, motion been made to postpone ordinance 24 until the November regular session. Councilperson Smith,
I have a
question on the motion to postpone? You're recognized.
Yes, I guess it'd be, well, it's on this ordinance. Would he have to pay again to take this back? Would he have to pay for this?
No, ma'am, he would
Again?
not. He would be, if we send it back, he would not have to pay again, and we can do that in a month. But if we send it back, he does not have to pay again for it.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, Councilperson Zacharias on the motion to postpone.
Yes, Mayor.
Would a more appropriate motion be to refer back to the RPC?
Yes.
But I guess we don't know what we would be referring it back. Are we just referring it back in general? Or are we referring it back with a different zoning recommendation?
I think we could refer it back for clarification.
Yeah. That would be better.
Okay, I mean, I have zero problem with that.
I think this
It's
way,
just it
if
delays
for
it
some
even.
reason the RPC couldn't take it up for some reason between now and the next meeting, it's gonna come back here, it's gonna be back on our agenda, and we'll still be in the same situation.
Instead of
But if we refer it to them, it doesn't come back to us. We're guaranteed not to get it back until they act on it.
It could take longer, but I mean, I'm open to whatever I made my motion, but I'll accept we'll accept any other motion that's made.
Thank you, Mayor.
Point of order.
You're recognized, Councilperson Lovato.
Mayor Pitts, will you just remind the council that all of our mics are hot and we should refrain from speaking into the mics while one person is speaking?
Thank you very much. I sure will. Let me run down our housekeeping rules. Ladies and gentlemen, the restrooms are to the council's left and to your right. All votes will be roll call votes unless specified otherwise. While we will attempt to control the microphones, just assume your microphone's on, which has been pointed out. Everything you say could be picked up on our live stream feed. Please raise your hand and keep it raised until I can see your hand. I'll keep my head on a swivel and make a list for each one. If you're not using a city-issued iPad, you may experience a glitch with your agenda and the attachments. And finally, please silence all cell phones. All right. Now
Great
back.
job, Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much. That concludes my report. Okay. All right. We have discussion ongoing about the motion to postpone until the November regular session or to refer the issue back to the Regional Planning Commission. Councilperson Zacharias.
I will make the motion to refer to the regional.
Okay.
I'm going to second that.
Okay. Is that Mr. Parliamentarian, Mr. City Attorney, is that a proper motion? Just want to make sure we get it right. I don't want to repeat my mistake from last month.
Yeah, that's proper.
Okay, all right. Okay, the motion to refer item B, ordinance 24, to the Regional Planning Commission has been made and properly seconded. We are now, okay, Councilperson Streetman on the motion to re-refer.
Yes, sir. I have heard back from Mr. Tyndall, and he said we can send it back, that's fine, and they can return with either zone, and that'll allow them to work with the individual. So, thank you, sir.
All right. Live streaming, two things at once. All right. All right, any other comment or question about the motion? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye.
Mr. Red?
Aye.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Treatman?
Aye.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The motion to refer to the Regional Planning Commission passes. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 25, 2024, 25, first reading. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommend approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 24, or 25, excuse me. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 25? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Red?
Aye.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Oops, wrong button. There we go. Ms. Streetman?
Aye.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
That's 11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 25 passes first reading. Councilperson Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, will you please read the consent agenda?
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that the item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 7, 2024-25, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jonathan Blick for zone change on a lot fronting on the north frontage of Dodd Street, 190 plus or minus feet east of the Dodd Street and Glen Street intersection, from R3, 3-family residential district, to R6, single-family residential district. Ordinance 8, 2024-25, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Michael Booth for zone change on a parcel fronting on the west frontage of Dotsonville Road, 275 plus or minus feet south of the Arrowfield Road and Dotsonville Road intersection, from R2, single-family residential district, to R6, single-family residential district. Ordinance 9, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter an agreement for purchase of easements and/or rights-of-way, or should negotiations fail, to pursue condemnation through use of eminent domain for acquisition of property for a public purpose for Memorial Drive widening project. Ordinance 10, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance amending the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2025 for governmental funds, ordinance 106, 2023-24, for newly identified items. Ordinance 11, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance amending the operating budgets for fiscal year 2025 for the internal service funds, from ordinance 101, 2023-24, for newly identified items. Ordinance 13, 2024-25, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Timothy Baggett for zone change on the northeast corner of the Crossland Avenue and Kelly Lane intersection and the southeast corner of the Golf Club Lane and Kelly Lane intersection, from R2, single-family residential district, to R4, multiple-family residential district. Ordinance 15, 2024-25, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of William Tierney for zone change on a parcel of land fronting on the east frontage of Pembroke Road, 950 plus or minus feet north of the Tiny Town Road and Pembroke Road intersection, from R1, single-family residential district, to R4, multiple-family residential district. Ordinance 16, 2024-25, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Reed Orlando Rudolph for zone change on a parcel of land fronting on the eastern frontage of North Whitfield Road, 250 plus or minus feet north of the Whitfield Road and Needmore Road intersection, from AG Agricultural District to R5 Residential District. Resolution 51, 2024-25, a resolution approving appointment to the Power Board, and the September 5th, 2024 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Motion's been made.
Second.
Properly seconded in favor of the consent agenda. Anyone wish to be recognized? Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to ask for ordinance 08, 2024-25, which is item B, to be pulled.
Thank you. We will pull item B, take that up immediately after the consent agenda. Councilperson McLaughlin.
I'd like to register no votes on ordinance 15, 2024, and ordinance 16, 2024.
Okay, Councilperson Zacharias.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'd like to pull item G, ordinance 15, 2024-25.
Okay, we'll also take that up right after the consent agenda. Any, Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I would also like to register a no vote for item H 16, 2024-25.
Okay, anyone else wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? Okay, we are now voting on the consent agenda, except for those two items that will be taken up immediately following the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilperson Markey?
Yes.
Councilperson Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen? Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Aye.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
Lost the box there. A 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Consent agenda is adopted. We'll now take up the two items pulled from the consent agenda. Item B, ordinance 8, 2024-25. Councilperson Streetman, you pulled that item and you're recognized.
Yes, sir, Mayor, thank you. I would just like to make a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 8.
Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to ask everyone again to rethink their previous decision on this one. This is the one going from R2 to R6, and when you look at the map, there is 0 R6 anywhere on this particular map, and as we've seen in the past, once R6 has been introduced into that map, then it enables other areas in there. It gives that kind of as a reason to be able to move forward with the R6. The RPC listed their reasoning as it not being consistent with the overall goals and objectives. It's also out of character with the surrounding development pattern, which, as you can see, it's right there connected to an area that is all R2. I mean, in fact, with it being R2, I mean, it kind of fits perfectly there to stay as it is as R2, as well as, apologize. It lists on here too that it's the correct zoning classification, as I just stated, for the property, and aligns with the access ordinance, of which would permit the division of property into 2 lots and would be required to share the single driveway access permitted by the access ordinance. So they could already divide it into 2 lots. And I know one thing we've talked about before is the accessibility of the transportation to be able to get there. I would just ask that everyone please relook at it, reconsider your vote, and consider voting this one down.
Okay, you've heard the explanation. Any other comment or question? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized on ordinance 8.
Thank you. I would like to say that I think R6 will work well in that area. I know that the previous speaker said that there's no R6s over there. However, there was no R6 in Ward 6 until it was started and put there. And as the speaker spoke, and I think that was Mr. Rita, he spoke that you know, it would just enhance the area. It is needed in that area. And I think that it being R6 would help to diversify the area. And I think that having R6 over there would be a good idea. I see nothing wrong with it. Just because it doesn't have any over there, that's how R6 started in Ward 6. There was none in Ward 6 until it was put in there by this council. So I say that we need to diversify the whole area in Clarksville. If you put it in one area, let's put it in the other area. I see nothing wrong with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilperson Smith?
Yes.
Councilperson Holloman?
Aye.
Councilperson Allen?
Aye.
Councilperson Reynolds?
No.
Whoops, wrong box there again. Councilperson Streetman?
No.
Councilperson Shekinab?
No.
Councilperson Lovato?
Yes.
Councilperson Zacharias?
No.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
No.
Councilperson Red?
Aye.
Councilperson Markey?
Aye.
And Mayor Pitts.
No.
It's 6 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 8 fails. We're now on item G, ordinance 15, 2024-25. I believe Councilperson Zacharias pulled it. You're recognized.
Yes, Mayor. Like I mentioned last week during the executive session, we've gotten some new information since this past first reading about a, we'll say, major gasoline retailer coming to our area. I did a quick look, and any GPS west of the Red River is going to send any Clarksville traffic going to that announced location right down Pembroke Road. And if you look at that road, it is a narrow, one lane in either direction, steep drop off. Again, tragically, just across the state line in Kentucky, a young child was killed there due to, now I understand that the sidewalks on the other side of the state line are not our issue, but we are potentially going to add additional residential density to a road that's about to see a ton of traffic, a lot more traffic than it currently sees. So I would ask that everybody keep that in mind as they reconsider this ordinance.
Okay, we would need a motion and a second to get the item before us.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded. Councilperson McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. I stated this last week when we were on this case. Two things. One, I would like the Planning Commission, when they get around to the rewrite, to definitely create a zoning specific for tiny homes, because they're under R4. You can put the maximum density there with multifamily residential. And then also to kind of back up my colleague to the right, if you drive down Pembroke Road, the houses are so close to the road. If we ever wanted to go in and widen, we would probably have to buy houses on one side of the street to widen that road. There's not room for widening, and we're already facing a problem because of the previously mentioned organization locating up there. So I think we really need to think hard about this before we vote for approval. I'll be voting no for those reasons. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate what the two speakers have said before me. However, I know this was one that we talked about last month, where it was going to be the tiny homes being built. I know I saw a lot of feedback from people that found that it was a very interesting concept. And that's, feedback from the public, that it was a very interesting concept that we were looking at allowing here. I think this would be a great thing. I know that we had a public speaker here tonight talking about the need for more affordable homes, and by building these small homes, it would allow that opportunity for people that can't afford the houses that we have going at the prices they're going now. So for me, although I appreciate, like I said, what was said before me, I still really love the idea behind this, and hope that this is something that we're able to do. And I'm in agreement as well that when we do our zoning rewrite, this is something that needs to be looked at as specific to a zoning classification or included in a zoning classification, but I'm all for this one.
Councilperson McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to reiterate, when we're looking at a rezoning classification, we can't conditionally rezone something based on what the applicant says they're going to do. And what happens if the property changes hands? Who knows what the next owner may do if that happens? So I try to look at what the maximum density is based on what's allowed in that zoning classification. Kind of like we kind of get tricked on C2, knowing that R4 can also go there. That's the guidelines that I try to use. And I understand it probably will be tiny homes, but I'm not willing to take that risk. Thank you.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So the previous speaker stole some of my thunder, but I do want to say that I did measure out the road frontage, and we're talking about putting 40 homes on 475 feet of road frontage. We talk about 30 feet, 50 feet not being enough. We're talking about 40 homes on 475 feet. That's a lot.
Councilperson Allen.
So I'm actually going to be voting for this. Like I said the last time, this is an opportunity for our city. And while I understand what the previous speakers have said, we have to understand that these are tiny homes. So it's not like they're building 40 big houses. with that much frontage. You're building 40 tiny homes that are no more than 600 square feet. That's small. So that setback is gonna make a difference. The small setback is gonna make a difference. As for widening, they're not built yet. That's something that we can work out with the builder. Hey, we're gonna be widening this at some point. Can you build back a little bit further? I just think that this is a great opportunity for Clarksville. It brings affordable housing to Clarksville. When it comes to affordable housing, speaking as someone that works in housing, it's just getting more and more dismal, and as a city, we have to figure out a way to get people housed. And if this is an opportunity for us, we should take it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilperson Redd.
I agree with the previous speaker, and we just heard tonight during public comments the need for affordable housing, and I believe the tiny homes are going to be the future that municipalities need to start looking at. No one builds 2-bedroom houses anymore. They're all as big as they can make them, and they're just not affordable. And I think this is, you know, if you look at the environmental aspect of it and everything else, and couples just starting out, maybe just with one child, it's a perfect thing. I think it would be a step forward for us at no cost. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilperson Smith.
Thank you. My concern is how much would the tiny houses rent for? Would they be for sale or for rent? Also, who would be staying in tiny homes with children? If you have 3 children, you can't stay in a tiny home. I just think that we just need to think about putting tiny homes everywhere. Just because they tiny don't mean that they're great, and don't mean that it is a proper thing to do just because we can. I just think that tiny homes in this area may be a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Zacharias?
No.
Ms. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. Redd?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Streetman?
Aye.
Mr. Shakinab?
No.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts.
No.
It's 6 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 15 fails. We're now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 18, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance accepting the donation of certain real property from Montgomery County, Tennessee to the city of Clarksville for the purpose of a sewer line and lift station upgrade project. Both the Finance and the Gas and Water Committees voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 18. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, are you ready for us to vote? All right, please take the vote.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shakinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Redd?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts.
Yes.
It's 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 18 passes, first reading. Chairperson Streetman.
Ordinance 19, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance accepting the donation of certain real property from John Mark Holloman and Robert D. Holloman to the city of Clarksville for the purpose of a sewer pump station. Both the Finance and the Gas and Water Committees voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 19. Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I will be abstaining on this one. It's just a family property. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, are you ready to vote?
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shakinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Redd?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Holloman?
Abstain.
And Mayor Pitts.
Yes.
It's 11 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Ordinance 19 passes. First reading. Chairperson Streetman.
Ordinance 20, 24, 25, first reading, an ordinance amending Part 2 Code of Ordinances, Title 4, Building, Utility, and Housing Codes, Chapter 2, Building Code of the City of Clarksville, Official Code relative to non-residential building permits. The Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 20. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
And Mayor Pitts.
Yes.
It's 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 20 is adopted. First reading. Chairperson Streetman.
Ordinance 21, 24, 25, first reading, an ordinance to amend the official code of the City of Clarksville, amending Title 4 Building, Utility, and Housing Codes to create a new chapter, Chapter 11, relative to third-party services and one section therein pertaining to third-party inspections and third-party examinations. The Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 21. Any comment or question? Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, I've read this, and I would like to make a quick statement, and then I have a question for Mr. Bittner, if you don't mind. This is state overreach, and I don't appreciate our state government coming in and preempting our local government and throwing our codes and our processes into chaos, and that's what I feel that they're doing here. We already had, if we wanted to do this, we could have. We didn't need to come in and for them to come in and tell us we had to. This is going to affect our ability and our quality control of our building and codes. And I would like to make it clear that our own representative, Representative Burkhart and Senator Powers, were actually sponsors of this bill, and I don't think it's in the best interest of our community. I would like to ask Mr. Bittner, as I was researching, I didn't quite understand it says, assuming the third-party reviewed plans are submitted to the exempt jurisdiction, is the person or persons designated. So my question is, do we have to be marked as an exempt jurisdiction for this to apply, or is it wide open and we do not have any control?
Mr. Bittner, that is directed to you. But we are, based on what I understand, an exempt jurisdiction because we have our own building codes. We've adopted as a municipality the building codes that builders must follow. But I'll leave the legal explanation up to you.
Okay. Can you repeat your question, please?
So when I was reading, when I read the law, I couldn't really understand. I couldn't follow it. But when I went to the questions and answers as part of the law, it says, assuming the third-party review plans are submitted to the exempt jurisdiction, is the person's designee required to have a third party? So they were talking about exempt jurisdiction as if we could say that we weren't going to do it unless we went past the 10-day mark. But I just wasn't clear. I couldn't find that clearly in the law. When I was reading it, I didn't understand it.
Okay. So as Mayor Pitts just said, we are the exempt jurisdiction. My understanding was this was a state law that passed that allowed the third-party examiners to come in and assist the current county examiners, and then the county examiners would be able to charge a fee. And when these state examiners, when these third-party examiners came and did the examinations, they would submit the results to the local building and code department for review.
And then we have a certain number of days
That's
to
correct. We have
review
a
that
certain number of
and
days.
accept them or go back out and require more information.
That's correct.
So when I was reading the ordinance, I didn't see that addressed or that process in the ordinance saying that we would, if we pushed it back out, they would have so many days. I would.
We could go back in between these two readings and amend that ordinance and add that language in there. But this is a state law, and then we would be following the state law. So if it was in the state law, we'd be required to do it anyway. But we could go back in and fix the ordinance during the
But-
interim.
The way that I understand it, and I just want to be clear, is that if we are meeting the 10-day requirement, then we don't have to allow third-party review. Is that correct? Or can everybody just decide they want to pick their own person to review their projects?
The way, Mr. Bittner, not to interrupt you, but the way I interpret it, it's been explained to me by legal counsel from the state, is we have to adopt conditions and criteria that allow these third-party inspectors to take part. With failing that, then our public is subject to whatever conditions that builder or that third-party inspector may have. So we're kind of putting the consumer at risk if we don't adopt some criteria.
So my question is, if I'm a builder and I pick a third-party, inspector, and they don't follow the rule and they pass my buildings, who is responsible for negligence, or if something happens in a tornado because the house wasn't built correctly? Does that come back to the city?
I think that comes back to the third-party inspector. The third-party inspector has to register with the state fire marshal code and with the board for the appropriate architect or engineering, and then they're approved, and then they bring us that license. They bring us that approval, show it to us before we issue them the license or permit to be the third-party inspector, and then we're requiring them also to carry professional liability insurance. And of course, they're not affiliated at all with the city as an employee. They're all independent contractors.
And the record keeping, because we're going to talk about 10 or 15 years down the line when this happens, and we're already experiencing some of those issues in our own community with our own builders, and now we're going to add another layer. It's going to make it even harder and less transparent and more of a buyer beware for our community because of this law.
The individuals are selecting the third party.
Right, I get to pick my own. I get to pick my own inspector. There's.
Yeah, but yes, you get to pick your own inspector, but they are pre-approved by the state and qualified by the state.
Yeah, I know.
And then their report is submitted to the Building and Codes Department for review, so it is meticulously reviewed.
Yeah, so our traffic exam. So I would like to see him maybe reach out. I do want the community to know that I did reach out to Mr. Crosby and express my concern, and was I reading things, and was I expressing concerns that he had, or was I missing something? So he did say that there was a little bit of he was willing to maybe tighten up the language about, at least put it into our ordinance, how many days they have to review it, and that, and I'd like to know the process. I would like to know, could we, as a city, say that we will reinspect 5 to 10% of these, just to put it out there so the community knows that we have that opportunity, so it doesn't become like oh, you're only looking at me when we go back and look at some of these, that we have a set percentage of review for quality control, like a quality control paragraph.
Okay. We could put that in there. Definitely put that in there. The 10-day submission, I think that you're speaking of, states that the local jurisdiction shall approve the plans, provide a report of the deficiencies. So we're reviewing the plan, providing the report of the deficiencies, and requesting additional information necessary to ensure compliance. So I don't think the plan is just reviewed by third party and then just sent on. It's sent into the current Building and Codes Department. They review it, make sure everything is
right, and that's where I would like to have a set quality control review, that they go out and look at a certain number of these.
Okay.
And just to keep people honest, not 100% of them, but to keep, that would just keep people a little bit honest. So okay. I'll be reaching back out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bittner. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized. All right, Mr. Bittner, might as well stay put.
So the third-party inspector is inspecting homes or whatever's being built in the city. Why do we need a third-party inspector if the building codes already inspect?
I think the third-party inspector is a statewide law that was made more aimed at the bigger cities. If there's a backlog, get inspected.
Hold on, let Vince adjust that volume, and then we'll turn you back on here. Thank you, Mr. Monaco. All right, you're recognized.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. What did you say, Mr. Benton? I'm sorry.
I said this is a statewide bill. I think it was aimed not at, specifically at smaller jurisdictions like the city of Clarksville. I think it was aimed at the bigger, larger cities where there might be a backlog in inspections where they can't get out there to review it in a timely manner.
So how would they be paid? Would they be paid by the city or
No.
the state? Or how?
I think they're paid by the individual that hires them.
Oh, so we have to hire them? to
No.
be with-
No, the third party, the home, the person that's.
Building the home, the
Yeah, they want the
contractor.
person that wants the inspection done, that they engage the third-party inspector. The city is just charging a $50 fee to permit the third-party inspector.
I see.
And then the third-party inspector fees are paid by the individual that retained them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So, Mr. Bittner, I had this together in my head before all this started. So I do have a couple questions. When they get their permit and everything like that, 9 times out of 10, you know, you have different things that you need to do. You have your electricity, then you get inspected, and you get disinspected, and you go through this whole process. Are you hiring one inspector for that entire process, or are you hiring one inspector for every different process?
I think that the code that came out is for perhaps an electrician inspection, a plans inspection, and maybe a plumbing inspection, so I'm anticipating that being different parties.
Okay, so what prevents okay, so while I understand if a person is building a house themselves and that's kind of a protection for the actual person building the house if they're gonna live in it, but if a builder is building the house and then gonna sell it to that person, where's the protection that says, because now I have this inspector that I'm paying gobs loads of money to go ahead on and approve my property.
Yeah, there is a conflict of interest section in here that says you can't be affiliated, so the builder couldn't hire his own employee or somebody to do the inspection, couldn't hire a family member, and then the report itself that the third-party inspector does is turned into the current local building codes for review to make sure there are no deficiencies. So everything is, I guess your protection is that the local building and codes office here is meticulously reviewing the report. And I know you, I hear you. Also, the individuals that are third-party inspectors are highly qualified individuals. They're licensed, and they have to get pre-approved through the state fire marshal's office. So it's not just somebody walking up off the street. It's somebody with a license.
Mr. Bittner, I just built a house,
Yes,
and I'll
ma'am.
tell you that they don't have to be family to be friends.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comment or
I-
question?
I do
Councilperson Reynolds, one more time.
So, Mr. Bender, back to the plans. So they get, right now, and it may include Councilperson Streetman, right now, the plans are approved by the RPC, right? Or are plans approved, I should know this, but I don't, or are plans approved by our building and codes?
I can answer that. The plans are submitted, building plans are submitted to the Building and Codes Department. They have 2 plans reviewers that meticulously go through it, make sure they meet all the various codes. Before they even schedule their first inspection, they have to approve the plan.
But under this law, under this law, now we can bypass that process as well, and they can hire their own person to approve their own plans.
They would still have to go through the same process of registering and being licensed and insured. I'm like you, I'm greatly concerned about this, but we've got to protect our people, and this is the best way to do it. Failing this, then we have no say.
Oh, I understand we're making the best of a bad, I resent this preemption from the state level. That's what this is, and I resent it. But I just want, so my thing is I will go back and we'll want to talk about just a quality control paragraph.
Yeah, if you'll get with Mr. Crosby to make sure that that fits.
Obviously,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. All right, any more comment or questions? Councilperson Allen, one more
Not for
time.
Mr. Bittner, though.
Okay, you're recognized.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Bittner.
this question is for you, Mr. Mayor. Does it have to be passed by a certain day?
The law went into effect October 1st, and so the clock is ticking. So we need to put this measure in place, first reading tonight, second reading in November, to make sure that we are as tightly protecting our citizens as possible.
Okay, so this is what I'll say. While I understand this, hopefully we can go back and put some more verbiage in here for the protections for the people. Just coming through this process of building a house myself, if I didn't have building and codes there, and I know I talked to the mayor about one of the things that happened to me, if I didn't have building and codes there that I could call and I could go to help me through the process while I was working with my builder, I probably would have spent thousands of more dollars than I would have had to spend. I really would like to see something here that really protects the buyer. Going through this process myself, I did end up spending about $15,000 extra dollars for something that I was told is in the code, and then when I finally talked to Building and Codes, they said it wasn't. I think that we do need to have some protections in here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
No.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Mayor Pitts?
Aye.
It's 9 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 21 passes first reading. Chairperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 22, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance to amend the official code of the city of Clarksville, amending Title V, Business, Professions, and Occupations, Chapter 2, Peddlers, to create a new section relative to a no solicitation list. The Finance Committee recommended disapproval, and
Councilperson Zacharias, you're
Thank
the
you.
sponsor. I'll come to you for the motion and second.
All right, I move to adopt ordinance 22, 2024-25.
Motion been made and properly seconded. You're recognized.
All right, thank you, Mayor. All right, so after executive session, I went home and I thought about this because I truly feel like the words that I'm saying, I'm not saying the right words. I think we're looking at this the wrong way, okay? I understand the concern that this is going to overburden our local police department. This ordinance is not going to reduce the number of solicitors. It's not going to reduce the number of unpermitted solicitors. It's not going to reduce the number of solicitors who don't know or don't care that they're not supposed to knock on doors with a no solicitation sign and that they're supposed to have a permit. That's not the intent of this. The city has already said, if you don't want to be bothered, you can put a sign on your house that says no soliciting. I'm just trying to give the people of Clarksville another way to exercise a right and a privilege that is already offered to them. There's no reason to think that by passing this, all of a sudden, all of the solicitors who are currently doing the right thing are going to stop doing the right thing. I know if I was a solicitor and that was how I made my money, I would really appreciate a list of all of the people that did not want to be bothered, so I don't have to waste my time. I believe that this can work. It's working in other cities. Again, this puts no additional burden on the police force than it would if everybody in Clarksville went out and wrote no soliciting on a piece of paper and stuck it to their front door. It has the same effect, but this time, or this way, it can be done digitally at no cost to the city, no cost to the taxpayer. Honestly, I think the only people that should be against this are people who sell no soliciting signs, because now you don't need them in Clarksville anymore if we can pass this. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So I went home and I thought about this too because I was kind of like perturbed. The only thing that I see is that's an issue with this is the consequence. There's no consequences. So what stops a person from still soliciting? I mean, there's no consequences if they knock on your door, except for you to tell them off. I mean, but I'm not advocating for that. But I think that's the only thing. Now, having a list that you can put your name on online and say, I don't want solicitor to come to my house, and that person pulls a permit and can pull that list offline, I think that's an excellent idea. I think that's amazing. But we have to know that there's no consequences. It's just to help the person that pulled the permit save some time. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate what the sponsor is trying to do here, but I know that you stated that there would be no burden on the police department, but I know Chief Crockrell sat up here and talked about that the burden that would be on them with this. And I recognize that anybody that's a permit holder would be able to get this list, and it would save people from having to put out no solicitation signs. But how many people are out there that are doing it, again, that aren't pulling the permit? They're not getting the permit for them to have. They're not going to have access to the list. They're still going to be doing it. Again, I appreciate the thought process behind this, but for me, I have to listen to what the chief said, as well as, take into consideration that, like you said, it's not going to stop the people that aren't supposed to be doing it anyway without getting the proper permit.
Any more comment or question before I go to the sponsor? You're recognized.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So I agree with just about everything that you said about this not stopping solicitors who are doing the wrong thing from continuing to do the wrong thing. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give the people of Clarksville another way to let people know that they don't want to be bothered. That's all. And to the question about there being no teeth behind the ordinance, that was done intentionally to give the city departments who are going to be administering this list and this program and issuing the permits the maximum flexibility to administer the list and run the program. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. No other comment? We are ready to vote on ordinance 22. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Shekinab?
No.
Ms. Lovato?
No.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. Red?
No.
Ms. Markey?
No.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Holloman?
Nay.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Whoops. Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Streetman?
No.
Mayor Pitts?
No.
That's 2 yes, 10 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 22 fails. Chairperson Streetman.
Resolution 19, 2024, 25, a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the City of Clarksville Police Department and the City of Knoxville Police Department pertaining to the Tennessee Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. The Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 19. Any comment or question regarding Resolution 19? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Oh, sorry. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Point of order, what was popped up said sewer substation. Okay. I think there's
We
an
can't
ordinance
wait to get
19 and a
home.
resolution 19. Okay.
We cannot wait to get home.
Oh.
I'm talking about back to our council chambers.
Oh, yeah, same. Okay, I was like, you're
No,
ready
no.
to go?
No.
We are too.
Madam Clerk, we're voting on Resolution 19.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Holloman?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Aye.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 19 is adopted. Chairperson Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We're ready for Gas and Water Committee. Chairperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, we had a really good Gas and Water Committee meeting this month. It's a really good committee to be on if you can make it. But here's the monthly committee report of September 2024. Clarksville Gas and Water is proud to recognize multiple employees for their various recent accomplishments. Christian Allen, wastewater treatment plant lab analyst, wrote a technical article titled Cetylometer, what does it tell you? That was featured in the Clean Water Professionals magazine, WPC Connector. Good job. That's pretty cool. Thomas Murph, wastewater construction and collections manager, spearheaded the Tennessee Historical Marker and unveiling ceremony in honor of Howard Smiley White Johnson on Saturday, August 31st. Eddie Eakin, water distribution mechanic number 2, was chosen by the Kentucky-Tennessee section of the American Water Works Association from a select group of 16 candidates to join an elite group of water professionals and attending its 2024-2025 Water Professionals Leadership Academy. Davis Stack, pretreatment manager, and Josh Bent, pretreatment technician, were presented the Pretreatment Excellence Award at the 2024 Kentucky-Tennessee Water Professionals Conference in Louisville, Kentucky. That was held on September 8th through the 11th. Due to weather on the previous scheduled days, Clarksville Gas and Water Customer Appreciation Day has been rescheduled to October 11th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This will now be combined with recognition with Public Natural Gas Week at the Customer Service Location Center on Madison Street. Customers may visit the center to learn about the department operations, ask questions, and pick up awareness literature, a free lunch, and giveaways while supplies last. And that's going to be held at the main location, the main gas and water building, and that's at 2215 Madison Street. Public Natural Gas Week runs from October 6th through the 12th. It's a nationwide observance that allows public natural gas systems like our own to honor the work, importance, and benefits of being locally owned. And that will conclude my report.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're ready for Neighborhood and Community Services Committee. Chairperson Shekina, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. For the Community and Neighborhood Services Report for the month of September and leading into October, it's been a busy month for CNCS. Right now, we're partnering with the United Way to continue to offer their free tax preparation through the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. The IRS program provides free tax preparation and electronic filing from low to moderate income taxpayers using community partners and volunteers. We're currently also recruiting volunteers. No prior tax experience is necessary, and all the training will be provided. If you have any special talents that may help the volunteer income tax assistance program, please contact Clarksville Community and Neighborhood Services. Currently for the department, we have 17 rehab homes in various phases of development, and we also have 37 clients in the department's rental assistance program. Our next Community and Neighborhood Services Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, the 14th of October at 4:30 p.m. on the 4th floor conference room at the City Hall. Our next Homeless Coalition meeting will be held on the 13th of November at 2 p.m. at Outpour Church on Marion Street. This coalition focus includes youth and seniors experiencing homelessness, centralized service partner registry, and barriers to services and sheltering. The Clarksville Montgomery County Long-Term Recovery Group will host its volunteer organization Active in Disaster luncheon on the 9th of October at Freedom Point. This is a coalition of nonprofits, faith-based groups, and other organizations that collaborate to coordinate disaster response and recovery efforts, ensuring effective and efficient assistance to all those impacted by disaster. Organizations interested in serving on this new community volunteer assistance group may contact the department head, who is Michelle Austin, at michelle.austin@cityofclarksville.com. Mayor, thank you. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Any comment or question? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized for a question.
Yes, I have a question. Thank you, Mayor. I have a question about, are they still doing reconstruction homes?
We're primarily focusing on rehabilitation. Our money goes further. We have finished up, I think, the fourth in the last calendar year reconstruction, but now we've shifted gears to trying to prevent homelessness through rehab, emergency rehab primarily.
Okay, so we're no longer right now doing reconstruction, because you said we finished up how many, Mayor?
I think there were four that we did that had been kind of hanging out there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more comment or question? Seeing none, we're ready for the Parks and Recreation Committee, the moment you've been waiting for. Chairperson Zacharias.
Thank you, Mayor. Parks and Rec would like to invite everybody to walk through history at Riverview Cemetery on a Day with the Dead cemetery tour. Hear the historic stories of past Montgomery County residents when actors in period clothing portray the deceased along the trails of the historic Clarksville City Cemetery. The Riverview Cemetery is the final resting place of several of Clarksville's most interesting characters, with the first burial dating back to 1800. Come hear the life stories from those who lay in rest while you get a guided tour of the cemetery. Registration is required. Fright on Franklin is back on Saturday, October 26th at 3 p.m. Join us in downtown Clarksville as it transforms into a frightfully fun event for the entire family. There will be safe trick-or-treating from more than 50 local businesses and organizations. Dress to Impress for the popular costume contest. This contest is open to all ages and registration is required. Spots fill up fast. Don't miss your last chance to visit the Clarksville Downtown Market this season on Saturday. The theme, Autumn Harvest, promises a celebration of all things fall, so please be sure to drop by. And then finally, good news for pickleball fans. The installation of the 4 new pickleball courts at Swan Lake Sports Complex is progressing on schedule with completion expected by the end of the year. The court space will be fenced and lined soon after with plans for them to be fully operational by the end of the year. And as always, for more information and a complete list of programs, classes, and ongoing activities, visit clarksvilleparksrec.com or download the app.
Okay, thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? We're ready for the Public Safety Committee. Chairperson Redd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Clarksville Fire and Rescue had total calls of 1,731, 20 structural fires with $597,350 worth of damage. They had 10 new hires in September. Clarksville Police Department graduated 10 officers from the training academy, many with awards. Please see your packets for those names. Clarksville Police Department will have 9 cadets begin their training at Walter State this coming Sunday. Building and Codes Construction Division had 2,845 total inspections. Codes Enforcement Division had 438 new cases. Abatement Division had 50 work orders. And the revenues generated were $277,785.49 to go into the kitty, and that concludes my report.
All right, any comment or question regarding this committee report? We're ready for Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee. Chairperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The TSG August reports are as follows. Transportation total riders for the month of August totaled 43,537 riders. For the fixed routes, there were 39,714, which includes 7,829 seniors who rode free. 82 riders went to the Magic in the Park on September the 28th. That was 82. 3,823 riders rode on the paratransit buses. CTS would like to thank the City Council and the Mayor for the last wage increase that helped us to fill our 13 open driver positions. We are working on bringing back the routes that were suspended due to low manning. Thank you again from CTS. We will now have the Street Department. The work orders for the Street Department for the month of August was completed was 315. Paving completed at Hermitage Estate Subdivision. Their next plan for paving is at Marymount Subdivision and Beach Street, or Beach Drive, I should say. Peaches Mill sidewalks are 75% completed. Crossing Avenue sidewalks are underway. Rodier and Northeast sidewalks will start this month. That concludes that Department. Okay, we now have the Transportation Department. For the month of August, the total number of citywide work orders was 365. The total parts for all city vehicles totaled $58,577.13. The fuel purchase made by the city garage for on-site fuel pumps unleaded total $100,130.62 for a total gallons of 39.163. Diesel total cost was $19,692.83 for total gallons of 7,904. Fuel cost for unleaded was $2.40 per gallon. The last delivery was August the 30th. There was a decrease of 12% from $2.72 on July 30th. Fuel cost for diesel was $2.49 per gallon. Last delivery was August the 23rd, 2024, a decrease of 4% from $2.60 on July 31st. This concludes my reports.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're now ready for some unfinished business. Item A, Ordinance 114, 2023-24, first reading. This item's been postponed at the September 5th, 2024 regular session. An ordinance to amend the official code, Title II, Alcoholic Beverages, Chapter 2, Intoxicating Liquor, pertaining to Section 2-205, Restrictions on Liquor Store. I've asked Mr. Bittner to kind of give us a refresher on the current posture and some amendments that may be coming. Mr. Bittner, please, sir.
Okay. We ended the last session with Councilperson Wanda Smith's amendment to the original ordinance. That's where we'll pick up today. I did want to remind everybody, I have a copy, officer. Just take a minute, pass these out. Okay, page 124 of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, dealing with amendments, degrees of amendment. I'm sure everybody knows this. I'm reading it for my own benefit. To remind myself, a motion to amend can be, in general, amended so that there are 2 degrees of amendment. There's primary and secondary are possible. The primary amendment applies directly to the pending main motion to be amended. The secondary amendment applies to a pending primary amendment. It proposes a change in the primary amendment. So what we had is Councilperson Wanda Smith's amendment. Last time we had Councilperson McLaughlin's amendment to the amendment. That would be the limit of amendments that we would deal with at the time where we would vote. An amendment skipping down to 1212, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. An amendment of the 3rd degree is not permitted. So if there's another councilperson, hypothetical councilperson that would have another amendment, which appears so based on what's been passed out, that member could say, while the secondary amendment is pending, that if the secondary amendment is voted down, he or she will offer another secondary amendment, which he or she can indicate what it is briefly. Reminder, no more than 1 primary amendment and 1 secondary amendment are permitted to be pending at any time, but any number of each can be considered in succession if they're voted down. Okay? So we'll begin with Councilperson Wanda Smith's amendment to the original ordinance.
So let me just call on you here in a moment, Madam Sponsor. We have, the ordinance 114 has been amended with the first amendment of the 1st degree.
Correct.
At the last meeting.
Correct.
And so we'll come to the sponsor of the ordinance.
That's correct.
To take it from there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. You're recognized, Councilperson Smith.
Thank you, Mayor and Attorney Bentner. As I said, I brought this ordinance forth to answer some questions and concerns from the residents and business owners about the well-being of the city. meaning the safety and the welfare of this city, as well as the health of the citizens of this city. The principle of this ordinance is to analyze and explore the impact that alcohol contributes to Clarksville crime rates, DUIs, public intoxications, fatal accidents, underage consumptions of alcohol, health issues, and the list goes on. Furthermore, we are to elevate the ordinance in place to consider a better resolution to achieve help, to decrease crime in the city of Clarksville, and to make sure that our citizens are healthy, because we know that alcohol damages the brain. Now, Mayor, I will make a motion to bring my ordinance forth.
Motion's been made on ordinance 114 and properly seconded. You're recognized.
And I will now read my amendment to my ordinance.
Okay, this is a new amendment.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
Okay.
this would be
This is the first amendment.
This be, actually, it's already amended before us.
Right.
So you're
just
offering an
An
amendment
to my
so.
to your amendment.
No.
Point
This
of
is the-
order. Point of order.
Councilperson McLaughlin.
Unless you change the verbiage, which I don't see any markup
have.
that's changed to what was voted on
Speak, Mr.
last
Bennett.
month,
Yes, it
this is already passed.
Okay, so the ordinance that's before us, or the amendment that's before us, is not substantially different,
Yes,
other
it
than
is.
some of the whereases?
It is different. Mr.
Well, it
Bennett,
is-
would you explain, please?
The questions
Yes.
regarding the amendment,
It's changed a lot. Yes, it
we
has.
have Councilperson Streetman, for what purpose?
My point of order was in regard to if the amendment went away that she made, we still have to revote on the original amendment.
Right.
We have not,
Let him-
that changed that. So now we have to revote on the original amendment
No.
that the sponsor proposed
This is-
last month.
That's not what
Okay.
I call
Okay,
impasse.
we're
Okay, Mr. Bittner, we'll get to the
answering
question, answers.
the first question. I believe the original amendment that was proposed by Councilperson Smith was that the opening of new liquor stores be frozen permanently. Correct?
No, sir.
It was to,
So this one is that she is pausing until the year 2032, which is an 8-year pause.
and also added some more on
Mayor.
the whereas.
Councilperson Streetman?
Last month, we voted on, we had the motion, main motion brought
First
before us,
fail.
which is what was on here. Then the sponsor brought forward the amendment to clean up some of the language. That would be the primary amendment. The
That's right.
secondary amendment was then brought forward by Ward 2. Presumably, that at the time was thought that that amendment passed, then, which then amended the primary amendment. We voted on the primary amendment, which was incorrectly voted on, and then postponed the main motion. And since the count was wrong on the secondary amendment, we are back to the primary. We still haven't voted on the primary amendment, so we're still at the phase
You
of the
are on the primary
amendment.
amendment, that's where we're starting, but now she's coming forward with
An amendment.
An amendment
secondary
to, a secondary,
amendment
okay.
to the primary amendment.
Just wanted to be sure that's where
Correct.
we were in the right spot.
Right, and then
Okay.
I have a copy in my hand
I got
of
the original.
of
You need-
her.
Hang on just a minute. Let's all pay attention to Mr. Bittner, please.
Okay, so I have a copy of her first amendment, the primary amendment. There shall be no more than 16 retail liquor stores for the sale of alcohol beverages and intoxicating liquor. And then today's, what she's proposing today, the opening of new liquor stores in the city of Clarksville is hereby paused until the year 2032. So the First Amendment, which the sponsor can elaborate on, I understood to freeze at the 16 indefinitely. Today's amendment is an 8-year freeze. Okay? Also, I did want to say, what I forgot to say earlier, I reviewed the ordinances. They seem to all be dealing with 2205, so The original ordinance that was proposed has the 2201 definition section, which fixes the TCA on the weight, alcohol weights, and as we progress through these amendments, the amendments are substituting 2205, so 2201 will stay in there. So if we get one of them passed, it will include 2201, okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized on a point of order.
Actually, it's a clarifying
Okay.
question. Okay, Mr. Bittner, bringing this down to my level. Since the previous speaker mentioned that we did not resolve Ward 6's amendment last month, is it true that she's presenting this in its place and we do not have to vote on what she presented as an amendment last month?
Good question.
What I'm interpreting this to be as her secondary amendment. So we would deal with the secondary amendment before we deal with her primary amendment.
Cannot be a substitution?
It can be a substitution, but she's coaching it as a secondary amendment. Or you could do, I think she's got other changes in her document other than just that number.
Okay, to the sponsor, which amendment do you want us to vote on first?
Let's do this one, the amendment,
The
the
new
newest
one.
one we just passed out.
The new one, okay,
That's
thank
the one
you
you
for
want, right?
clarification.
Okay.
That's the one you want me to.
Hang on a second.
You need to vote on, you're working backwards.
Oh,
So if you're coming forward with your secondary amendment, then you vote on the secondary amendment, because the secondary amendment changes her primary amendment.
right.
So you vote on the secondary amendment,
And then we'll go back to the main.
and you go back to the first amendment with the changes that were made by the secondary amendment, which is the amended amendment.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, hang on a second. Councilperson McLaughlin, are you there?
It doesn't make sense to me, but I am going with what the attorney said.
Okay, Councilperson Markey, for what purpose?
With the secondary amendment, I have a question on, since this is a secondary amendment, we vote on this, we go back to her primary amendment, can we then offer our amendment at that point?
If her secondary amendment fails,
Mhm.
we'll go back to the First Amendment, then you can offer your amendment to her primary amendment.
Okay.
You know, we can have a primary and a secondary, but no more than that.
Correct.
Okay.
Could not have
So-
a third.
So we're now, the posture we're in is the amendment that Councilperson Smith is getting ready to present is a secondary amendment to her original amendment of her original ordinance.
Correct.
Okay,
Do you have a dry erase board?
yeah, really.
Do we have copies of it?
And I.
Hang on just a second. Councilperson Smith, do we have copies of your,
Yeah, the new one.
I
Yeah,
don't-
just
I
passed it
don't.
out.
We don't have it on
We
this
have
side.
another one,
Nobody has
I passed, they had it.
Wait,
There's like
hang on a second.
18 of them over here. Here you
Oh,
go.
no wonder. No wonder, I'm sorry.
Okay, 3, but I rounded it up.
Oh, it's sitting at Mary's desk.
I was hoarding them all.
think-
Apologies.
Okay, everybody get the proper amendment before them.
This is- yeah.
And then, Councilperson Smith, I'm going to come to you in a moment.
Okay.
And you walk us through this secondary amendment.
Okay.
And then I'll need a motion, but go ahead.
Excuse me. Got Cole Council back here. It was kind of difficult tonight. So you need to bring your secondary amendment to the floor with your motion, which has to be seconded.
You want me to do the motion first?
Yeah, we need to get it properly before us, so
Okay.
I'll come to you now for a motion on your amendment, and then you can explain
I
it.
make a motion on my amendment of ordinance 114-2023-24.
Okay, motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Councilperson Smith's secondary amendment. You are recognized for an explanation.
Thank you, Mayor. The reason I made an amendment to my ordinance is because I heard people say, you know, they want to open liquor stores. They think that we're trying to stop liquor stores from opening, and that's not the case at all. The case is to look at the pros and the cons. And through my investigation and my analysis, I found that the cons, which is the bad, the disadvantages, the unfavorable, outweigh the pros. The pros is supposed to be the good. Because the only pro that I found in opening more liquor stores is that we could make more revenue off of the backs of deaths, working parents who's trying to put their children in school. We can make money off of early deaths, crime, you know. And so I say that we need to pause opening liquor stores every 2 years. We need to pause that because we have so many statistics that prove that premature deaths are happening. Underage teens are drinking. We have reports in the paper. We have people writing to say, please, let's look at the safety of our city. Let's look at the health of the citizens. We know that alcohol kills the brain cells, and they do not recreate or reproduce. I had a brother who was an alcoholic. He died at 47. And so I know how alcohol affects families, their children. My mother went through hell with my brother, who was an alcoholic, and there was a liquor store right around the corner. He could walk to it. And so what I'm saying is this. We've gotten many phone calls, many letters from citizens in this city that are opposing opening more liquor stores in this city. We have so many around us. I named off some the other day. We have so many in Hopkinsville. We have one on Post, but there are 6 others that sells liquor. We have some in Oak Grove. I think it was 7 in Oak Grove, 6 in Oak Grove. Let me get that right. So I'm not looking at my papers, but we have too many liquor stores surrounding us. And people say, well, people don't get drunk at the liquor store. No, some do. My brother used to get drunk at the liquor store because the person that sold the liquor was his friend. And he would stay up there and talk to him. And so liquor, we can see, has brought forth many disadvantages to this city. Many early deaths, premature deaths, underage drinking, costing parents money that they don't have to get their children out of trouble, costing murders and all kind of crime. And so let me read this amendment to my amendment. An ordinance to amend the official code, Title II, Alcohol Beverages, Chapter 2, Intoxicating Liquor pertaining to Section 2-205, Restrictions on Number of Retail Liquor Stores, and 2-201 definition. Whereas the City of Clarksville, Tennessee Code of Ordinance, Section 2-205 provides that 2 new retail liquor stores shall be phased on July the 1st or every even number until the ratio of retail stores to population reaches 1 retail liquor store per 6,000 residents. Whereas there are currently 14 liquor stores, and whereas 2 additional liquor stores receive certificates of compliance at the July the 2nd, 2024 City Council regular session. Whereas the 2020 census, the population of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, was 166,722 residents. Whereas the current scheme for phasing in retail liquor stores will result in 28 liquor stores in the city of Clarksville, Tennessee by the year of 2038. And whereas the U.S. Census Bureau estimates that the city of Clarksville, Tennessee's population on July the 1st, 2023 was 180,716 residents, resulting in 30 retail liquor stores by 2040. Whereas the city of Clarksville, Tennessee is 99.40 square miles in area. Whereas based on the above data, the city of Clarksville, Tennessee would have a retail liquor store for every 3.55 square miles. in 2038, and a retail liquor store for every 31 square miles, 3 miles in 2040. Whereas there are also retail liquor stores in close proximity to the city of Clarksville, as I mentioned, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Oak Grove, Kentucky, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Dover, Tennessee, Erin, Tennessee, Springfield, Tennessee, and Nashville, Tennessee. Whereas alcohol creates known health issues, include damage to organs such as the brain, liver, pancreas, and creates an increased risk of heart disease and cancer. Whereas alcohol has been found to accentuate or promote negative emotions and aggressive behavior and contributes to criminal behavior, including domestic violence, rape, and murder. Whereas Tennessee has been found to be the 12th worst state for drunk driving, according to a news report from WKRN on December the 8th of 2023, just last year. Let me read that again. Whereas Tennessee has been found to be the 12th worst state for drunk driving, according to a news report from WKRN on December the 8th of 2023. Whereas statistics provided by the Clarksville Police Department regarding alcohol-related incidents and fatalities from January 1st, 2022 to September the 30th, 2024 are as follows. And as I look at the statistics, DUIs has increased. Some said it went down, but it increased. It was 504 in 2022. These are DUIs. Today, it's 241, and the year has not ended. We still have some months left before the month ends. That's 241 DUIs. DUIs related crashes with property damage. In 2022, it was 107. In 2024, it's 63. That's still one too many, even though it shows that it went down. Property damage, that's a property damage crash due to somebody being under the influence of alcohol. Then DUIs related crashes with injury, it went down 29. In 2024, it was 76. Police are doing their jobs. DUI related fatalities. In 2022, it was 7 fatalities, meaning died. These people died in the crash. Today, it shows 3 fatality crashes, which is good that it went down, but that's one too many. Public intoxication arrest was 282 in 2022. In 2023, there was 356. In January, there was 124. But today, it was 180. You know what? I made a mistake because there was 51 plus 63. I got that wrong. Let me make sure I got that right. I don't want to give you no wrong information. I didn't add that up. Hold on. 6 and 11. That's 114. There was a total of 114 crashes. It went up. For the DUI related crashes with property damage, that's 114. I got to add up these two numbers. It went up. I'm sorry, got that wrong. 8, 9, that's 5, and that's 4. It went up to 400. Okay, now DUIs, I said it was a 504. Let me get that correct, because it was broken up when I asked for this, half from January to May. From January to May of this year was 218. From May to September, there was another 241. So that brought that up to 459. So it went up. It didn't go down. I got that wrong. It went up. All of these related crimes went up. 114 DUIs related crashes with property damage. 114, that went up. Then I got to add the others. Hold on. 18, 7.
Councilperson Smith, if you don't mind, let's proceed with the substance of your amendment.
I am.
10 minutes.
This is, it's okay, we looked at a film from Mr., this man here, it wasn't no problem, it had nothing
It
to
was
do
under
with the city
comments.
council.
That was
It had
under comments.
nothing to do with the city council. So let me please explain, you asked me to explain.
Please explain.
Please let me explain.
I'm listening.
I want the ordinance to know the truth. I don't want to just jibber jabber. This is a serious thing here about DUIs. Give me time like everybody else get time.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Then we had other crashes for crash-related fatalities. That went up to 5. Public intoxication arrests, that went up as well. 10 went up to 304. It was 282 in 2022, went up to 304. Underage possession, sale in open container. That let's see what that did.
Went down.
And that's good. Parents are getting on to the children. They're looking out for them. That's good. Went down to 95. It was 163 in 2022. So these are just some of the statistics that I want to be known to the public that we need to work on this. Now let me finish, and I'm gonna finish this up since they're hearing me, okay? Whereas the expansion plan for additional retail liquor stores in the city of Clarksville, Tennessee is unattainable and will lead to an excessive number of retail liquor stores, an overabundance of access to liquor, and an increase in the health and safety problems associated with increased alcohol uses. And whereas, and this is what I want y'all to get, it is in the best interest of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, to halt the expansion of the number of liquor store permits until such time as the effects of expanding the number of liquor stores in the city of Clarksville, Tennessee can be fully analyzed and considered in relation to the police department statistics regarding crimes such as DUIs, DUI fatalities, alcohol-related pedestrian fatalities, underage drinking, and all of these things that I mentioned before. Whereas the opening of new liquor stores shall be paused until 2032 for the safety, well-being, and health of the city of Clarksville residents. Whereas the state of Tennessee, also this is amending the alcohol content that our codes does not align with the state of Tennessee, which needs to be amended. So whereas the state of Tennessee amended the definition of alcohol content by weight, high alcohol content beer having an alcoholic content of more than 8% by weight, and wine having an alcoholic content not to exceed 21% by weight volume. For alcohol beverages and intoxicating liquor, it is necessary to amend the official code of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee to comply with the current state law definition. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, that the official code of the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, Title II, Alcohol Beverages, Chapter 2, Intoxicating Liquor, Section 2-205, Restriction on Number of Retail Stores, Paragraph A and B, are hereby deleted in their entirety and replaced with the following language: that the opening of any liquor stores in the city of Clarksville is hereby paused until the year of 2032. The limit on the number of retail stores provided in this section shall not apply to grocery stores selling wines as permitted. And I forgot those. We got grocery stores selling liquor and wine. Be it further ordained by the City Council of the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, that the official city code of the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, Title II, Alcohol Beverages, Chapter 2, Intoxicating Liquor, Section 2-201, definition is hereby amended to comply with the current Tennessee Code as follows. Section 2-201 definition, wherever used in this chapter unless content requires otherwise. Alcohol beverages or beverages shall be defined in the title definition of the Tennessee Code annotated 57-3-101, and intoxicating liquor and intoxicating drinks shall be as defined in the Tennessee Code annotated section 57-2-101 as may be amended from time to time. And now I would say as I read my amendment. I also want to present, if anybody has,
Point of order, Mayor. That's
You
15
recognized.
minutes. It's a
It doesn't
whole
matter.
time and then a half.
Okay.
Everybody took 15 minutes.
All right.
well, I have an ordinance to present, and whenever you present your ordinances, nothing is said.
Okay.
I am a human being just like you. I have rights, civil rights, constitutional rights.
No one said
First
Counsel-
Amendment rights.
Hang on, hang on,
So
hang.
please stop trying to stop me from
Let's go.
talking when I need
Cut
to
'em off.
speak
Cut 'em
my
off.
talk
Cut 'em-
too.
Cut them
It's
off.
called a point of order.
It's a point of order.
Doesn't say I'm out of order.
Councilperson Smith, unless it's on the amendment,
It's on the amendment. I'm
What
trying
is
to
it?
present my information.
you've presented your amendment.
I'm not through.
Okay, what do you have left?
Right. I present this amendment. If y'all want to shut it off, let's shut it off. Let's just shut it off. Go ahead.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you have a question?
I have a comment, Mayor.
Okay.
So,
recognized.
In looking at and listening to the statistics that were provided, nowhere in there does it state where the person obtained their alcohol that led to the DUI. Currently, the city of Clarksville has 361 issued beer permits, 45 wine certificates, and 16 liquor stores. Again, nowhere did the sponsor provide where the person obtained their alcohol. So why are we targeting liquor stores? I also did some research on some data. I looked at the Tennessee Highway Safety Commission's website on crash data for the city of Clarksville for 2022, 2023, and 2024. And in combination, wrecks or crashes, number one was DUI at 51, number two was speed at 45, number three was drugs with 43, number four was distracted driving, and number five was a drowsy driver. So yes, there are DUI statistics that lead to wrecks, but the sponsor showed where the police department's doing a dang fine job of pulling over and citing people who are driving distracted, drunk, or otherwise. Again, I've stated this many times, I'm gonna try to keep my comments tight. It leads people to believe what's the motivation here? I'm not putting this towards the sponsor, but I saw that she was getting ready to share a postcard that was mailed to several voters. Nowhere can I find who this organization is. They're not registered with the Secretary of State in any means. Their zip code for their postage comes to Jackson, Mississippi, which is a marketing firm that works with PACs. Who benefits from scaring people into this? Why can't we find out who they are? Think about who could financially benefit from the liquor store limit. I vote no on this. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Call for the question.
Question's been called.
Second.
Properly seconded. Okay, we are voting to cease discussion on the amendment to, or the secondary amendment to the original ordinance.
Mayor, point of order.
The
Did
point,
we ever get a motion?
yeah, we got a motion and a second.
Okay.
We did.
Sorry.
Okay, we are now voting on to cease discussion on this amendment. It takes 2/3, which is 8 of us. So, Madam Clerk, whenever the pump is primed.
I love your new score system.
Okay. Councilperson McLaughlin?
Yes.
Councilperson Redd?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilperson Marquis?
Yes.
Councilperson Smith?
No.
Councilperson Holloman?
No.
Councilperson Allen?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Streetman?
Yes.
Councilperson Shekinab?
Yes.
Councilperson Lovato?
Yes.
Councilperson Zacharias?
No.
Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 9 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Okay, the motion to cease discussion passes. We are now voting on the Smith Amendment number 2. No, we're ceased discussion. Had we continued discussion, you would have had last word. All right, so we're voting on the Smith Amendment number 2 to Ordinance 114. Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready.
Councilperson Redd?
No.
Councilperson Markey?
No.
Councilperson Smith?
Yes.
Councilperson Holloman?
Aye.
Councilperson Allen?
No.
Councilperson Reynolds?
No.
Councilperson Streetman?
No.
Councilperson Shekinab?
No.
Councilperson Lovato?
No.
Councilperson Zacharias?
No.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
No.
And Mayor Pitts?
No.
It's 2 yes, 10 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment number 2 fails. We're now back on the councilperson, Mr. Bittner, please. We're back on the original ordinance.
We need to go back to the primary, her first amendment. that she did.
Okay.
And then that one is amendable by.
By others, okay. So we will go to this, Councilperson Smith, you had a question of Mr. Bittner? Okay. So we're on the Smith Amendment 1 to the Smith Ordinance 114. Are there questions? Councilperson Markey, you're recognized for a question.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we'll need a motion and a second to get it on the table.
Bring it, a motion to bring forth the First Amendment, my first ordinance amendment.
Okay, motion made,
Point of order.
properly seconded. Yes, you're recognized on the point
The
of order.
motion has already been put on the table. We did that the last time.
No, that
We are
was
on,
the second.
the primary
Hang on a
amendment has
second.
already been motioned and second.
Mr. Bittner,
No.
hang on, we want to make sure I get this right this time.
No. We just voted on the second one.
My understanding was we're working backwards.
Yeah.
We go back to the primary amendment, which does not need a second. It's on the floor for discussion.
Okay, all right. Okay, so here we go. We will go to the sponsor of the original amendment, if you wish to offer explanation, and then I'll make a list.
Yes.
Point of order, or a question, point of clarification.
Okay,
Sorry.
you're recognized.
If we dispose of her original amendment, then it's done. It's not amendable, correct?
My understanding is if you dispose of her original amendment, we go back to the ordinance. The main question.
Well, the main question was already passed. This whole thing was because she wanted to put a limit, which is the amendment that's up now. So if we vote on that, then it's, correct?
You're working backwards. You go back, you start with number 2, you go back to number 1, and you go back to the main ordinance. If you- So we're on number 1.
That's right.
If this one is not amended and it's voted on and it goes back,
That was the second
if it fails, it goes back to the main
Ordinance.
ordinance.
But the main ordinance is already law.
No.
No, we haven't
I don't think
completed
it's been
the,
voted on.
well, yeah, we just,
It's never been voted.
we kicked the can down the road to October.
I'm tapping out, thank you.
Okay. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized on Amendment 1.
Okay, I don't need to read it again.
No, you don't.
I don't, I didn't
Surprise.
read it.
Okay.
I didn't want to read it, I had to.
Okay. All right,
But-
I'm sorry, go
Want me to
ahead.
go ahead?
No, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We're back to my First Amendment. And that was to halt liquor stores indefinitely until we come to an agreement as to how we can help decrease DUIs, crime. It doesn't matter where you bought the liquor from. What we're trying to do is put a cap on it. And the guy that stood forth that said, his name is Sean Patel, I found out that he's a lobbyist. And he lives in Memphis, Tennessee, that got up and spoke about keeping the liquor stores open for more unlimited liquor stores. I have a copy of your information, sir. You from Memphis, Tennessee. You're here lobbying.
Point of order.
Councilperson Smith, would you please address
Okay.
your amendment?
Well, I'm
Thank you.
addressing it because he spoke about my.
Point of order, Mayor.
Hang on. Councilperson Smith, stick to your amendment, not to the
Okay.
person that spoke.
But anyway, okay. Well, anyway, he is from Memphis, Tennessee.
Councilperson Smith.
And he is from Memphis, Tennessee.
taxpayer, stop it.
Well, it's still, he's lobbying.
Councilperson Smith,
Lobbying
please.
here, and he shouldn't do that.
Councilperson Smith.
But they just got this saying, I had a card. They just, she was out of order,
Council-
she said I had a card.
Okay. Please stick to your amendment, not calling names of people who spoke.
Well, they came forth, so their name is already recognized by the
Okay, we
public.
got it.
It's nothing secret, okay? As I said, we do need to halt liquor stores. We have several letters from different citizens. And I know this is a hard topic for people, and they, but guess what? The citizens are looking tonight. And this card came in the mail. I don't know anything about it, don't know who brought it forth, but these people are serious about not opening more liquor stores. We have more people talking against opening more liquor stores than anything. Y'all have received letters. We've received postcards in the mail. We had it in the paper. And this is not a scare tactic because guess what? Statistics prove that nothing is to scare anybody. Statistics prove that there's underage drinking. Statistics prove that there are DUI wrecks. Statistics prove that there are people who have died from alcohol. It doesn't matter where they bought it from. We're here to try to make a difference. Our job as city council people is to make a difference in this city, not to bring more tragic here. Some sitting here are running for re-election. But they want to keep on putting in liquor stores. I hope they're not voted for.
Councilperson Smith, I
And I'm
ask you to
serious
stick
about that.
to your
I'm
amendment.
sticking to my amendment.
It has nothing to
That
do
has
with
a lot
elections.
To do with it. Yes, it does.
Has nothing to do with
Because
elections.
if the president is running, we want to know why he's running.
We're not-
What is he having in favor for me?
There is no ordinance before us regarding the President of the United
I'm just telling
States.
you for an example. I'm giving an example, Mayor. Understand the
Point of
example.
order, arguing with the
Point
chair.
of order, you're out of order. Keep
All right.
speaking up.
Councilperson Smith, stick to your amendment, or we will move on.
Well, let's move on.
All right,
Whatever you
let's
wanna
move on.
do.
Councilperson
Let's move on.
Streetman, you're recognized.
Second.
Question been called and properly seconded. That's a non-debatable motion. Any objection to calling for the question?
No.
Object.
We have objections, so we will put it on the board. Madam Clerk, we're going to take the vote whenever you're ready. We're voting to cease discussion on amendment number 1.
Councilperson Markey?
Yes.
Councilperson Smith?
Yes.
Councilperson Holloman?
No.
Oh, I need to change my vote. No. Change my vote, please.
Councilperson Allen?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Streetman?
Yes.
Councilperson Shekinab?
Yes.
Councilperson Lovato?
Yes.
Councilperson Zacharias?
No.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
Yes.
Councilperson Redd?
Yes.
Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 9 yes, 3 no, 0
The
abstain.
motion to call for the question or cease discussion has passed. We are now voting on Amendment 1. To Mr. Bittner, help us out.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to restate the question is no more than 16 retail liquor stores for the sale of alcoholic beverages as defined in 2201. I think it was referred to as freezing, but no more than 16.
Okay, you've heard explanation. We're now voting on Amendment 1 to Ordinance 114.
I make a motion.
Madam, no, we've already got it. It's before us.
Councilperson Smith?
We're voting on your amendment.
Yes.
Councilperson Holloman?
Yes.
Councilperson Allen?
No.
Councilperson Reynolds?
No.
Councilperson Streetman?
No.
Councilperson Shekinab?
No.
Councilperson Lovato?
No.
Councilperson Zacharias?
No.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
No.
Councilperson Redd?
No.
Councilperson Markey?
No.
And Mayor Pitts?
No.
It's 2 yes, 10 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment 1 fails. Councilperson Streetman, for what purpose?
Call for the question.
Second.
Object.
Okay, we've got, the question's been called for and properly seconded on the main motion for ordinance 114, which would cease discussion, and there is objection, so we will vote on ceasing discussion on ordinance 114. So as soon as the clerk is ready, we'll be voting to cease discussion on ordinance 114. Requires 2/3 or 8. Going to give the clerk a mayor's certificate for working this system.
You're to be commended.
All right, we're voting to cease discussion on the main ordinance 114. Madam Clerk.
There we go. Councilperson Holloman?
No.
Councilperson Allen?
No.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Streetman?
Yes.
Councilperson Shekinab?
Yes.
Councilperson Lovato?
Yes.
Councilperson Zacharias?
No.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
No.
Councilperson Redd?
Yeah.
Councilperson Markey?
No.
Councilperson Smith?
No.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 6 yes, 6 no, 0
The
abstain.
motion to cease discussion failed. We're back on ordinance 114. It requires 8. Okay. For what purpose, Councilperson Markey?
I have an amendment.
We have other amendments. I'm going, privilege of the chair, I'm going to Councilperson McLaughlin, and then I'll come to you.
I'll yield to the council member from Ward 5.
Okay, Councilperson Markey, you're recognized.
All right, thank you. I will try to make this as quick as possible here. I know there's a lot of information, but, so what I did with my amendment here, it's really not as complicated as it looks.
If you don't mind, make a motion and
I'm
let's get it
sorry.
before us. That's okay.
Sorry about that. I'd like to make a motion to present my amendment.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded. You're recognized.
All right. So what I did here was I took the section 205 and I pretty much deleted it. And because of that, what I also realized upon speaking with City Attorney's Office is that if we delete that section, we also have a procedures section, which is the giant red block in the next page, that also deletes the lottery, because if you delete section 205, it reverts back because the lottery would have still been in place. That's why those two are scratched off there. But what I'm actually adding as a compromise here is section 207, which restricts the locations of liquor stores. Therefore, it prevents it from pretty much being a free-for-all. So in subsection 8, it pretty much gives a location distance from schools, parks, and religious institutions to be no closer than 500 feet. I gave you guys a handout, the one that has the little red squares that shows you the current location of all the liquor stores and their proximity to those entities. The ones in red are the ones that are under the 500 feet limit, and therefore they would be the only ones in the exemption clause, really, which would be in, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going through this a little fast. If you guys need me to slow down, I can.
Would you slow down just a tad?
Okay, sorry.
About 60 miles an hour.
Okay, so the chart shows that only 4 of the 16 would be outside of that limit, and therefore there's an exemption clause because of that. If it does not have a number in that block and it is blank, it means that if there's any schools, parks, or religious institutions nearby, they are over 1,500 feet. So they are really far away from those locations. That's why that's left blank. Going back to what I'm adding in subsection B, it also adds that no retail liquor store can be closer to another liquor store no less than 1,500 feet. And it it gives you a measurement that it's measured along the direct line from the closest point of each of the buildings. So that way you don't have one dropping around town right next to each other. This allows there to be enough distance from each other and still have some opening up. So you have those two distance clauses, as well as then the exemption, which makes it that the current stores are exempt because they exist prior to this, if this was to be enacted. However, if they decide to move their location for whatever reason, then the ordinance of the distance does apply to them if they move. So that's what that is. And real quick, with my other handouts that I gave you guys, as far as the statistics are concerned, I went back to 2018 because that's when we started the lottery system back up and running here in Clarksville. And while there is a spike in 2020, they believe that it was mainly because of the shutdown and people not having anything to do. But from that time till now, it has decreased a bit and it's kind of flatlined. And you also have to remember that from 2018 until now, Clarksville has grown over 30,000 people. So when you account for the population growth, it really does just stay flat along the lines, even though we've added almost 8, I believe, since that time. I would also like to say that I did contact the police, the chief of Hopkinsville, just because they have drive-through liquor stores, right? So if we're trying to stop DUIs, it's kind of odd that they have liquor stores that you can just drive through, right? So I asked them, how many stores do they have? What's their population and what is their crime rate with that? They have 14 for a population of 31,000 people, which means there's one store for every 2,000 people roughly. So and again, they're drive-through. And as far as the crime is concerned, they tell me that the fact is people are willing to drive extra miles if they are wanting to purchase alcohol. Less stores just means longer drives, which means a drunk driver that is simply out to drive to the liquor store will just be on the road that much longer. And this is from Hopkinsville, who have drive-through liquor stores, apparently. And one thing, I guess, to go back to the statistics, the DUIs that we have on the books are not just alcohol related. It's driving under the influence. It's alcohol and narcotics mixed together that's causing these numbers as well. So it's not just one thing. And then lastly, as far as the amount of stores, I've looked up different areas across the country. Surprisingly to me, the state of New York is number 2 in the most alcohol stores, and they are also like number 3, in the top 5 of least drunk driving. So I started digging into how can they have so many liquor stores and have the least amount of drunk drivers, and apparently it comes down to policy. If we want to stop drunk drivers, we need to enact policies that pretty much punish those individuals. They have zero tolerance laws for individuals who are under 21 with blood alcohol level of 0.02%. They have ignition interlocks that make it that they're pretty much breathalyzers. Your car won't start until you prove that you're not drunk. They pay for it monthly out of their pockets. They have really tough enforcements over there. They do policy things that have brought down their DUIs. And that, if we're going to try to attack that, that's where it needs to be, not the alcohol. And that is the reasoning for my amendment.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized on the Marquee Amendment.
No, I don't need to talk anymore.
Councilperson Holloman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. So, quick question for the sponsor of this amendment.
Mhm.
So you're trying to remove all the limits, is that correct?
No, I just instituted an additional limit. So I'm trying to take away the numbered limit. Like, for example, right now it's 16 because that's how many licenses there are. And if we were to actually follow the current procedures, which states that we have 1 per 6,000 individuals, it would be, I believe, 27 roughly. So that's technically the overall limit of the city. I'm trying to remove that number to make it more of a locations limit, which is what I've added, which is why they can't be within 1,500 feet of each other.
Yeah, so 1,500 feet, so,
Of each other and those
yeah,
other
so
institutions.
that's 3 streetlights. Each streetlight's about 500 feet apart.
It's
that's
about a
nothing.
quarter mile.
1,500 feet, if each streetlight is 500 feet apart, then that's approximately, yeah, that's approximately 3 streetlights.
If that is the accurate measurement, then
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, that's just kind of put it in perspective. This is a bad idea, you know, like, if we didn't have smoke shops on every corner, like, I'd probably be more open to it, but, you know, once we increase the number of liquor stores, like, we can't decrease, so this is actually, like, something that's actually really, really serious. I mean, just like, you know, for example, like, how many people in this room, you know, participate if you want to or not, how many had caffeine this morning? I had caffeine. Anyone else? Okay, so we had 2 people.
Oh, yeah. Every day.
We've either got some people not participating or people not willing to speak up. So caffeine is a drug. Alcohol is a drug. There are 2 drugs really that you can die from. It's alcohol and benzodiazepines, which is also Xanax. It's actually like pretty dangerous drug, and when you start getting into liquor, like you start building tolerance, and which requires you to drink more and more. And it's something that Clarksville does not need, because here's what's going to happen. It's probably already happening. I don't drink anymore, but people probably get drunk and they probably say, hey, you know, like there's a smoke shop up the road. Let's check that out. And then they go in there all nice and tipsy and probably buy all kinds of stuff and go to town, you know. And so it's not a good idea to mix these. We got to get one under control. We definitely got to get one under control, whether it's alcohol, whether it's these smoke shops. Like we got to get them under control. We got to get the tax base for the smoke shops for sure. But you know, liquor stores, they will compete for each other. They will give you samples, and so like, you know, if you follow typical progression, I call it the progression of sin. Not going to get into that, but things typically get stronger and cheaper. And with alcohol, that's probably going to be the case. You know, you see 99 shot, 99 cents per shot at one liquor store. You go up the road, it's going to be 50 cents per shot. Like it just gets really, really competitive. There is for the crime stats, I'm not going to argue the crime stats, but like, come on, like there's a very clear correlation between alcohol consumption and crime. And you know, like, I mean, how many in here has ever gotten drunk and done something they regret? Like, I bet you, like, if you're over the age of 21, like, you've probably done that. Like, so, I mean, people don't have control when they drink. And I mean, as a society as a whole, I'm not bashing anybody. Like, we have no self-control as society as a whole. And the rebuttal to whatever argument it's going to be is, if we did have self-control, then we could have heroin legalized, and you know, you could do heroin or whatever, you know, medical thing that you want in all earnestness. But the thing is, we have no self-control, and that's why we have laws. But I think that's going to wrap it up. So thank you.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. This is to the sponsor of the amendment. I have some questions.
Sure.
I think you stated that this would limit it at 27. Did I hear that? I'm sorry, there's been a lot tonight. Or did you not say that?
No, I'm not limiting it to that number. I'm saying that if we were to follow our own ordinance currently as it is, that it would be that many stores in town.
Okay, but this would remove any limit on the number.
that's-
The only limit it would be, I apologize.
Based on distance. So however big Clarksville is, pretty much, is how it limits it based on how many stores there are. So if you have a store here, there's 1,500 feet, there can't be another store within that general circle, then so it pushes them out somewhere else. Until pretty much if there's that many in the city, there can't be any more because they encroach on each other.
Okay, and who's going to keep up with that, so to speak? Because you will have, because if you have a business close, another open, who's going to monitor and be responsible?
It's the same way as how we kept the section in here that applies to how they get their certification pretty much, and it's it's the same process, right, that we're keeping, that they have to submit their application with their location, and when they do that, we, run the background checks in their locations, and that's when it would be checked, like, ultimately.
Okay.
He's gone, y'all. Left the wrong person in charge.
Okay, so, but we just don't currently already have that in the process. I'm so sorry, of the distance.
No, we don't have a distance in process, no.
Okay, and I know you mentioned New York.
What I was trying to explain about that is that it's not the alcohol, that if we're here trying to argue.
No,
50
I understand that. I was just gonna add one difference also with New York is you've got New York City, which is gonna be heavily populated.
Yes.
And quite a few there, and you've got a lot of people that are walking, taking cabs. So I think that
No.
might,
I understand that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're fine. No, I understand. I was looking at the statistics statewide.
Okay.
For that.
I
And
just-
that is a reason added, sorry.
I just think that might also put some weight on it though because of the density of New York City with that. Okay, I think that's all the questions I had for you. In regard to, oh, wait, did you look at other cities and how many, do you know, as far as other cities within the state that are unlimited? I didn't get all the packet, I'm sorry. I think with us being crunched together, things got.
I took it.
I have, okay, I'm just now getting this, so I didn't get to look at this.
Are you through, Ms. Streetman?
No, I'm not, thank you.
Go ahead.
I am, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all the questions I have for you. My thought is, I'm still where I was before. I am not in favor of capping this altogether and leaving us with the number that we have because we are a growing population. I would even be open to if we needed to change our sum to where we could open it up more than just the two, but I don't love the thought of just having it be an unlimited number that could open. I think liquor stores have a little bit different regulations on them. So again, I'm still in favor of staying on the course that we're on with 2 every year, or again, looking at something different and a different model. But for me, I just can't go to where it's completely unlimited. Thank you, though.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Okay, reading these 2 amendments, the McLaughlin amendment that's not on the table yet, and the Marquise amendment, I think both of them would go really well together. And so, because I like the fact that it's 1,500 feet, and if we putting in that 1 per every 6,000, so you got 1 per every 6,000, and you got 1 per every 6,000, and you got where they can't be more than 1,500 feet, which is over a quarter mile apart. So, I mean, that would go by the population, and as the population grows, that number can grow. I like what the council person has done with this amendment because it does put some more restrictions. And as for restrictions, what I tell everybody is we cannot legislate good behavior. And it sounds like that's what several members are trying to do, is legislate good behavior. We can't, there's no way we can do that. We cannot, we can't force somebody not to drink. We can't force them not to drink and drive. We can't force anybody not to do anything. All we can do is know that if a liquor store opens, it's got to come back before the council anyway. So, thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to reiterate what is part of the Marquis Amendment to a previous speaker is that her amendment would restrict location based on distances from schools, parks, and religious institutions, and also the 1,500 feet from other liquor stores. There's 2 things there. And then in response to another previous speaker, is liquor stores have more restricted hours of operation than your gas station that may be open 24 hours that has a beer permit. So the restriction on hours is is more abrasive or more stringent for liquor stores than your average 24-hour grocery store or gas station that already has a beer certificate and also may have a certificate to purchase wine as well. Thank you.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you brainstorming, trying to bring something forth. I don't have a problem with people bringing amendments if they're worth bringing. My thing is this, you're just talking about here is spreading out more liquor stores, making sure they're not in a certain area versus the school and the churches. But that's not going to do anything about decreasing opening of liquor stores. That's not going to help us. All that's going to do is just spread out more liquor stores, and then that's going to still allow us to have all unlimited liquor stores open, children drinking. There's no need to limit it from where you put it at around the schools and what location you put it at. That's not going to do any good because, putting one 100 feet from the school, I don't know, that's what you said, 100 feet? What is it? 500 feet from the school? That ain't going to stop the children from going to the liquor store. I don't understand how this is going to be so good to make a big difference. I think we need to limit the liquor store. That's why I brought forth an ordinance to pause them until we come to some good ideas, to think about this. Let us really brainstorm. It's only common sense. Use common sense. And then I heard somebody say, we can't legislate good behavior. That's nonsense, because we can. That's why we have police officers. That's why we have courts and judges. So when people get in trouble, guess what? Or they break the law, they got to go to court. They got to pay a fine. We do legislate to try to help bring forth good behavior. We do that. That's part of the system, to make sure we abide by the laws of the land. That's all I have to say, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilperson Redd.
Thank you, man. I think one of the previous speakers perhaps may have meant we can't legislate morality. And I do agree with that. We had to come up at one time in our country with the 24th Amendment to do away with complete prohibition. And prohibition turned out just to be a nightmare for our country because of the crime that was committed and the mafia and things like that were started. And the very ones that was against doing away with prohibition was the criminal element, because that's how they made their money. And it was mentioned by another speaker very wisely about at one of our previous meetings that with some of these proposals that have been brought forth tonight, we will be creating, and what we are doing here and what we do have in the city of Clarksville is we've created a monopoly. And I believe that the people do have a vested interest in limiting very strictly the number of liquor stores that we have. And let me say this, if we only had one liquor store in the city of Clarksville, if the logic goes that will stop DUIs and that will stop drunk driving and everything, I would have to argue that if you only had one liquor store, let's say, in the whole city, and I haven't heard anybody make the proposal that we limit it all the way down to one, but if you were to, that would just mean you'd have to drive much further to get to the liquor store and to drive back home. Therefore, it would probably be more likely to cause an accident. And I never heard anybody yet give a statistic out of the statistics that was presented to us by the police department or anyone else, how many of the DUIs and how many of the accidents and the crimes were caused by people going and buying beer or buying wine at the supermarket or a convenience store. I still don't get. How is it that somebody knows that this came out of a liquor store when you can buy wine somewhere else? I mean, we have a constitution for a reason. A lot of people, and that's fine. In many ways, I can understand this. They want to limit how many guns there should be. Should we limit how many gun stores? And their logic is, if there was no guns, there would be no gun crime. But like the sponsor wisely pointed out here, where there is the least restrictive liquor store laws, there seems to be the least amount of DUI incidents. And believe it or not, if you look at the statistics where you have the least restrictions on guns, you have the least gun violence. And that's a constitutional right as well. Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong to be against it, but it's a constitutional right. And like I said, the 24th Amendment did away with prohibition. And I just don't like the idea of a municipality creating a monopoly for one certain group of people. Should we do that with gun stores? Should we do that with, and just say just a certain amount of grocery stores can sell wine or beer? I mean, and someone said that there's tried to make the equation of heroin or whatnot. Well, heroin is not mentioned in the Constitution as a constitutional right there, but that's just the way I look at it, and I just seen in all the arguments here, just I don't know, I like of looking at it at a level that's some of it's just completely blown out of proportion, I believe, because. And if you really want to do away with liquor store and you're that passionate about it, just make an amendment that we do away with all of them. I want to see that amendment. That's all I got. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Streetman.
Call for the question?
Question's been called for, properly seconded. Any objection to the question? Hearing none, we are now voting on the marquee amendment. We're voting on the marquee amendment to Ordinance 114. As soon as you're squared up there, Madam Clerk.
Councilperson Allen?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
No.
Councilperson Streetman?
No.
Councilperson Shekinab?
No.
Councilperson Lovato?
No.
Councilperson Zacharias?
No.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
Yes.
Councilperson Red?
Yes.
Councilperson Marquis?
Yes.
Councilperson Smith?
No.
Councilperson Holloman?
No.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 5 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
The amendment fails. We're back on Ordinance 114. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
That's me, Vince. I have an amendment. It's a one-pager. I'd like to make an amendment, a motion to approve the McLaughlin amendment to ordinance 114.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the McLaughlin amendment to Ordinance 114. The sponsor is recognized.
Thank you. So this is a compromise to what I brought up last month. This would keep the limit at 27, but what it would do is eliminate the formula for 2 liquor stores every 2 years until we hit 27. It would automatically raise the limit to 27, effective July 1st, 2025.
Okay, you've heard the explanation of the amendment. Councilperson Smith on the,
Mayor?
yes.
Sorry. Also, one of my colleagues asked about the data based on population in Tennessee, and I did some research and I based it on the highest population down. And as one of our public comment speakers mentioned, we're the most constringent as far as the number of liquor stores based on population.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Councilperson Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. To the sponsor of this ordinance, I have a question concerning, you said this would limit it to 27 liquor stores. I mean, is that including the 16 that we already have, or are you saying 27 more?
Limit would be 27, period.
So how many you asking for?
It
You
would-
asked them for 16, you asked them for,
Under our current ordinance that is on the books now, it says that it would be a maximum one liquor store per 6,000 residents based on the most recent census numbers. The most recent census was in 2020. Based on that formula, the maximum we could have is 27 until the next census, which would be 2023. As we all know, we will not get those numbers in 2023. It'll be a year or two after. So with the 16 that we have now, minus 27 is the maximum, is how many more additional stores? 27 would be the maximum allowable under this until the next census numbers.
okay, well, I'm concerned about this because it's good to have laws in place. It really is. And I'm thankful that we do have laws because it helps to keep us civilized. But laws in place gives us a freeway. It gives us opportunities to choose and do things that we think is best for our city and for our citizens. However, it does not negate that we should open more liquor stores just because we have that option to open liquor stores. Common sense says that if the cons outweigh the pros, then we need to do something about it. The cons are the disadvantages, the deaths that it causes, such as deaths, I should say, the disadvantages, the bad. So just because we have the right to open more liquor stores doesn't mean we should do that. As a group of people who are to make laws for this city, we sit here and say, let's make it unlimited. So what are we thinking about for the future for our grandchildren and children who may walk down the street and get hit by a drunk driver, no matter where he bought the liquor from? We're trying to work a way, we should be trying to work a way to decrease, help to decrease early deaths, underage drinking, DUIs, wrecks. Constantly. We had wrecks yesterday, the day before. We just having wrecks every day. We don't know if they based on liquor, but after the investigation, we will find out. But we can do something about this. We have the opportunity to do this. I just think that common sense says we don't need to open no 27 no more liquor stores or whatever is minus the 16. We don't need to just because we have that right to do that. We need to use common sense. We're not trying to stop anybody from opening a business, but if the cons, I'll say this again, outweigh the pros, and it certainly does based upon the statistics, we need to say, enough is enough. As they said on this flyer right here. Enough is enough. They sent this out in the mail. Enough is enough. Let's wake up, people. Let's be sensible about this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm so sorry for what I'm about to do. In all of this, it occurs to me that we, and Mayor, this is a question for the chair, that there's one part of the amended main motion that has fallen off that we actually really need to address, and that is updating our definition of what a liquor store is. I'm prepared to update the city's definition. Update the city code definition for what liquor is. I'm prepared to repurpose the back page of this amendment that we've already voted down as an amendment to the McLaughlin amendment, so we can at least get that done and accomplished. Or I can bring this up as an individual amendment. What's for your preference?
My preference would be, we spent how many weeks have we been on this? I prefer that we dispose of this, voting it up or down, and then if the main ordinance as amended passes first reading, bring it back. And if it doesn't, then bring it as an ordinance. All right. Okay, thank you for that. Councilperson Streetman.
Sorry, Mayor. I can say, my mic's off. There we go. I can say I like this better than just leaving it completely open to no limit whatsoever. If this were to pass, one thing I think I would like to see would fall in line with something someone said earlier, is I would like to see the sponsor of the previous amendment that we discussed with the various different restrictions in place. I would like that maybe on the second reading, maybe to come back, because I do think a blending would be very nice. I think they would fit very well together, and I appreciate the research that you all did. Thank you for making sure, and I'll thank my neighbor here for letting me be able to see hers, and to see that, you know, it does put us to where we're still gonna be lower than other areas. So again, I just ask that you look at that, the previous sponsor, look at that, and let's find a blending and try and find what's gonna be the best for our community.
I have a question for the sponsor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
How do you propose we get from 16 to 27? Is it the lottery process?
Yes, sir. The lottery process has not changed. The only thing I'm proposing in the amendment is changes to section 2-205. The lottery system is still in place.
Okay.
Mayor, can I add one more thing?
You are recognized.
If we are going to, if this does pass then on this first reading, and between the first reading and the second reading, I think it might be a good idea to sit down with the city clerk and clean up some of that lottery process for her as well, so that that's all, you know, cleaned up all at once in one fell swoop.
I would recommend the city attorney be at the table too,
I agree.
and then the Supreme Court Justice or somebody. All right, Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Final comment.
All right.
Believe it or not. Okay, so just to clarify some of the comments I heard, this will not be unlimited. This will be restricting at 27, which is based on our current population formula at 1 per 6,000. If we're looking at limiting liquor stores because of the perception that that's where all the DUI offenses come from, let's limit the number of car lots that we have in Clarksville, because cars are involved in every accident in Clarksville of some kind, cars, motorcycles. And the postcard was mentioned again. Who is they? Who are the people behind this? They don't want to be found. If you search their website, you can't see who they're linked to, who started the account. They're not registered on the Tennessee Secretary of State website. Why don't they want to be known? How come these people don't post who their treasurer is or how to contact them to find out who they are? It seems very suspect to me that it could be aiding in keeping the monopoly that we have now. So I ask that you please support this. I have taken into consideration and agree with what some of the previous speakers said about possibly blending the marquee amendment in on second reading. In addition, on second reading, we can blend in the law that we need to adopt for the state, and then if the city clerk's willing, we can also sit down and get that all blended together on second reading. So I ask that you please support this. Thank you.
Councilperson Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. There's a law in place that said people can remain anonymous, okay? Remember that law. They don't have to say who put something out. They don't have to tell you their name. So I don't know who did this. I have nothing to do with it. And I'm sure if you've done your investigation, you will find that out. But let me tell you something. These people can remain anonymous, whoever it is. I don't know. Find out. Let your finger do some searching. Find out. I don't know. Just came in my mail. The people don't even know my name. But they can remain anonymous if they want to report you. They can remain anonymous if they want to do anything. They don't have to tell you who put something for. They do that all the time. Nothing new. And so you saying this will restrict liquor stores on your amendment. No, it's not restricting anything, because you're adding 11 more. And then you're going to still vote for more to come in. I don't see any restriction on here to me. I mean, that's your thoughts. That's not mine. And then let me make a comment about cars. Let's restrict cars. Cars don't drink. Drivers do. Cars are bought for transportation, and that's what they're for. The people that's driving just so happen to get drunk. Polices are doing their jobs, and I appreciate that. But we are not trying to scare anybody. If the parents or people would read the statistics, they have called you, they have wrote you letters, all of us. But we steady ignored our citizens who put us in office. I believe that the government is for the people, by the people, and of the people. And it's our job to listen to our bosses, who are the people that put us on at this seat. But we don't want to do that. We just want to kill everybody. I'm through, Mayor.
Councilperson Holloman?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I don't know why we keep obsessing over the mailer. I did not get one. Kind of disappointed actually about it, but besides the point. We keep obsessing over the mailer. Who sent it? We say that the liquor store owners, they're going to create a monopoly. And I guess if I was a liquor store owner, yeah, I'd probably be against increasing the liquor stores, because why would you want to increase your own competition? So that point is valid. From my perspective, though, I don't care about any of that. I don't care if they make money. I don't care if they lose money. I don't care about this mailer. I don't care who sent it. I care about the people of Clarksville, and I'm up here to make the decision of what I feel like is best for the people of Clarksville, not what's best for a liquor store owner or someone who sent out a mailer. I think that's kind of just distracting from the point, because we're up here for Clarksville. But that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen?
So what I would like to say is I would like to, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I just lost it. I would like to. Sorry, skip me.
Councilperson Streetman?
Call for the question.
Go ahead.
Question.
Second. I'm good.
Question been called and properly seconded. Any objection to the question? All right, we're voting now on the McLaughlin Amendment to Ordinance 114. We're voting on the McLaughlin Amendment to Ordinance 114. Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Streetman?
Yes.
Councilperson Shekinab?
Yes.
Councilperson Lovato?
No.
Councilperson Zacharias?
Yes.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
Yes.
Councilperson Red?
Yes.
Councilperson Marquis?
Yes.
Councilperson Smith?
No.
Councilperson Holloman?
No.
Councilperson Allen?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts.
Yes.
It's 9 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
McLaughlin Amendment is adopted. We're now on Ordinance 114 as amended. Any further comment or question on this amendment? When the horse is dead, dismount. All right. We are now voting on Ordinance 114 as amended. Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready.
Councilperson Streetman?
Yes.
Councilperson Shekinab?
Yes.
Councilperson Lovato?
No.
Councilperson Zacharias?
Yes.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
Yes.
Councilperson Red?
Yes.
Councilperson Marquis?
Yes.
Councilperson Smith?
No.
Councilperson Holloman?
No.
Councilperson Allen?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts.
Yes.
It's 9 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance is adopted. First reading. See you next month. All right. We are now under new business. Public consideration vote on settlement demand for Dylan Stacy versus the Clarksville Police Department. City of Clarksville Detective Aquazini. I'll call on our city attorney to present that, and then we will take the matter up. Mr. Bittner, please, sir.
Motion, this is the matter of the settlement letter received from Lockhart Law in the case of Dylan Stacy versus City of Clarksville. I'd like to have a motion to approve the settlement offer from plaintiff's attorney in the amount of $375. And if you do not wish to approve the offer, I'd ask that you vote it down. The city attorney's recommendation is that the settlement offer be rejected.
You've heard the explanation, Councilperson Streetman.
Yes. I just want to clarify that you not only need a motion, but a second,
Correct.
that we must consider it.
Correct.
Then I make a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of this issue. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote, Madam Clerk? Whenever you're ready.
Councilperson Shekinab?
No.
Councilperson Lovato?
No.
Councilperson Zacharias?
No.
Councilperson McLaughlin?
No.
Councilperson Ritt? Excuse me. Councilperson Markey?
No.
Councilperson Smith?
No.
Councilperson Holloman?
No.
Councilperson Allen?
No.
Councilperson Reynolds?
No.
Councilperson Streetman?
No.
And Mayor Pitts?
No.
Whoops, try that again. 0 yes, 11 no, 0 abstain.
Motion fails. Next item is a report on debt obligation. On September 26th, the city closed on 2 bond issuances. This is for the informational purposes only and is required to be read into the minutes. A taxable general obligation bond for $6,770,000 with a premium of nearly $300,000. True interest cost of 3.87%. Repayment in 4 years with total closing costs of $60,235.42. Where you're using this to purchase the Speedway property. The second bond issuance is a tax-exempt general obligation bond for $43,665,000 with a premium of over $6.6 million. True interest cost of 3.58%, a 20-year debt with total closing cost of $276,724.31. We're using this for general government capital projects. Upon issuance, we reimbursed ourselves $35 million. Part of the bond issuance process is to get rated by Moody's and Fitch. This is the first time we are rated under a completely new rating criteria for governments. We did incredibly well. Our prior ratings were also reaffirmed. Moody's AA2, outlook stable, and Fitch AA+, outlook stable, for the record. We are now ready for mayor and council member comments, and I see hands all over the place, so hang on a second. We'll go right to left or left to right, depending on where you're standing. Councilperson McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. 31 years ago today, my husband and I came to Clarksville to find a place to live because he received orders to be stationed at Fort Campbell. At that time, we had a prisoner of war from Fort Campbell, Michael Durant, as part of what young people probably know as a Black Hawk Down incident. Today is the anniversary of that. On September 3rd and 4th, 1993, U.S. forces set out on a snatch and grab mission to arrest 2 of Aidid's lieutenants. Altogether, the operation would involve 19 aircraft, 12 vehicles, and around 160 troops. About 4:20 p.m. on October 3rd, 1993, one of the Black Hawks, Super 61, piloted by CW3 Cliff Elvis Wolcott and CW3 Donovan Bull Briley, was shot down by an RPG. Both pilots were killed in the resulting crash, and 2 of the crew chiefs were severely wounded. Staff Sergeant Daniel Bush and Sergeant Jim Smith, both Special Operations snipers, survived the crash and began defending the site. An MH6 Star 41 piloted by CW3 Claude Meyer and CW5 Keith Jones landed nearby. Jones left the helicopter and carried Bush to safety of the helicopter while Meyer provided cover fire from the cockpit, repeatedly denying orders to lift off while his co-pilot was not in the bird. Jones and Meyer evacuated Bush and Smith. Bush later died from his injuries, having been shot 4 times while he defended the crash site. Super 64 crash. During the rescue operation of Super 61, communications were confused between the ground convoy and the assault team. Both units were under the mistaken impression that they were to be the first contacted by the other. During the 20-minute wait, a second Black Hawk helicopter, call sign Super 64, was piloted by CW3 Michael Durant and co-piloted by CW4 Raymond Frank. It was shot down by an RPG around 4:40 p.m. Most of the assault team went to the first crash site for rescue operation. Once there, about 90 Rangers and Special Forces operators found them under heavy fire. Despite air support, the assault team was effectively trapped for overnight. Another crash site, 2 snipers, Master Sergeant Gary Gordon and Sergeant First Class Randy Shugard, were inserted by Super 62. Their first 2 requests to be inserted were denied, but they were finally granted permission after their 3rd request. They inflicted heavy casualties upon the approach of a small Somali mob. Super 65 kept up their fire support for Gordon and Shugart until the RPG struck it. Despite the damage, Super 62 managed to land at a Newport safety site. When Gordon was eventually killed, Shugart picked up Gordon's weapon and gave it to Durant. Shugart went back around the helicopter's node, held off the mob for another 10 minutes before he was killed. The Somalis then overran the crash site and killed all but Durant. He was nearly beaten to death, but was saved when members of Adid's militia came to take him prisoner. In the aftermath, news outlets broadcast searing images of mobs dragging the bodies of the dead Army Special Forces operators and helicopter crewmen through the streets of Mogadishu. The battle would later be viewed as a tactical success, which, despite daunting odds and overseen mishaps, a force of about 100 Americans held off more than 1,000 enemy who poured streams of small arms and rocket attacks into an intense, coordinated ambush until they could be rescued. In total, this battle left 19 Americans dead and 73 injured. I would ask for a moment of silence for the 5 soldiers from Fort Campbell who were part of this attack that were killed. October 3rd, 1993, crew members of Super 61 CW4 Wilcott and CW3 Briley, and on October 3rd, Super 64, my friend's husband, CW4 Raymond Frank, Staff Sergeant Thomas Field, and Staff Sergeant Cleveland Jr. I ask for a moment of silence for these members and their families.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for a moment of silence.
Thank
Amen.
you. This is just a reminder of the heroes that we have in our community who put our country and our safety before themselves, and we're very fortunate to have the kind of men and women in our community that do that every day. Thank you.
Well said. Councilperson Allen.
Red was next, okay. So as you can see, the members on the, you got me all choked up. The members on the council today have on pink. We all know that it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Breast Cancer Awareness Month this year hits a little bit different because it hit so close to home. I had 5 friends of mine in 1 year diagnosed with breast cancer. So I promised myself that every time I'm in a venue this month, and every other time I'm in a venue where I could talk about breast cancer awareness and prevention, that I will. So the very first thing I want to talk about is mammograms. They are so important. One of my friends that was diagnosed with breast cancer, she hadn't had a mammogram in 2 years. And between that first year and that 3rd year, she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. So breast cancer can be very aggressive. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that's why they say get a buddy and get a mammogram. So a lot of people don't get mammograms because they feel like, okay, insurance, or I got to pay for it. However, if you have Medicare, Medicaid, or most insurance companies, they have to cover the full price of your mammogram. Since 2010, the Affordable Care Act has required all new health insurance plans to cover screening of mammograms. Health plans must cover screening mammograms with no copay every 2 years for 50 and older, and as recommended by the health provider. So, but most private insurances will cover it once a year. If you don't have medical insurance, there is a program at every health department called the Breast Cancer and Cervical Cancer Screening Program, and that is for free if you do not have insurance. Now, if you go in there and you do have insurance, they will bill your insurance. The last thing that I want to discuss is most people are surprised that men suffer from breast cancer also. One of my close friends has breast cancer as a man. His biggest recommendation is have your wife teach you, men, have your wife teach you how to do self-breast exams. Because what happens with men is that once their
they don't get diagnosed as fast because we do get mammograms and we do self-care. They don't get diagnosed as fast. So what ends up happening to them is they're at a later stage of breast cancer when they actually get diagnosed, which causes a harder breast cancer to treat. So although we do not screen men as mammograms, it is recommended, my doctor told me, it is recommended that men do learn how to do self-breast examinations so that you can know if your breast changed in any way. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the flu vaccine. You can get a free flu vaccine at the Montgomery County Health Department on 10/15/2024. We want to up the numbers. Mr. Joey Smith and his team are wonderful, and if we increase the numbers, that looks good for them and they get additional funding. So if you are someone who usually gets an annual flu vaccine, please go and support our Montgomery County Health Department and protect yourself and your family. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you. I've got a few different ones. There's a lot about October. October is also Fire Prevention Month.
Sorry.
So, and it means it's a time to focus on fire prevention and safety in your home. I'm going to take this opportunity to ask everyone to please make sure that you do have smoke detectors installed in your home. Make sure that you are checking them regularly. Also, make sure that they're not only checking for smoke, but also carbon monoxide in your home and your recreation vehicles as well. Another thing about October is it is National Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and in honor of that, our Clarksville Association of Down Syndrome is going to have their Community Cares Walk and Expo this weekend at the Wilma Rudolph Event Center from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The walk will start at 9 o'clock, and it is the 11th event at the Wilma Rudolph Event Center. The walk and then the expo with community resources, free food, that was put to me in capital letters, lots of fun, and silent auction. I've been going to this for many years. It's always a lot of fun to go to. I would encourage you, if you've never been, please go. Last year, the Montgomery County trustee and our own Chief Montgomery led the group in stretching exercises before we all got out to walk there at Liberty Park. And last but not least, the Immaculate Conception Church will be having their festival, their international festival, coming up October 19th and October 20th. It's actually the 25th annual Immaculate Conception International Festival, and there'll be live entertainment, food, games, and much more. You can check their website to find out more information or follow them on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to turn your attention to Councilperson Wallace Redd, who has a special announcement.
Thank you, Mayor. Solomon wrote in the book of Ecclesiastes that there's a time and there's a season for everything under the sun. I've come to a season. Recently, I sent the mayor my letter of resignation effective at the end of this month. This will be my last meeting. Helga and I will be moving to be closer to our children and our grandchildren. We tried to make the timing for the move to be at the end of the year, but due to timing issues and a serious health diagnosis, we decided to make the move now. I requested the mayor, it's not his fault, but I requested him not to have any special recognition to take up the council's time, and that he forward my resignation letter to each and every one of you. Helga and I will keep you in our prayers. It has been my honor and my privilege to have been a city council member, and I want to thank the people of Ward 4 who first elected me in 1996. And I would like to say that I've done my best to keep my oath of office. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me in saying thank you to Councilperson Wallace Redd. And in honor of your last meeting with us, Councilperson Redd, I'll invite you to make the motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'm sorry. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
You know what? I love Mayor. I love my mayor. But for some reason, he always overlooked me. I don't know what it is. He try to shut me up or he'll stop me from talking. I love him now. That ain't no love. We ain't even in the thing. Hush, let me talk. I can't even talk for y'all.
You're being
Good
disrespectful.
Lord,
Okay.
I'm not being disrespectful.
Please, comments,
Point
please.
of order, would you just stay out of my business, please? Let me talk. Or goodbye, goodbye. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. But anyway, I know that you all as students learned something today. You learned that sometimes you don't get what you need when you're in city council business. But you got to learn not to take it personally. You got to learn that there are going to be some no's and there's going to be some yeses. But as he just said, there's a time and a season for everything. I don't own a liquor store, but I'm saying this. Don't go out, drink, and drive. Be cautious. Be careful. Be defensive and offensive when you're driving. How many of y'all would like to be a city council person today? Raise your hand. How many would you like? How many of y'all? Would y'all like to be a city council? Any of y'all? Nobody's raising their hand. I'm sorry. Wow. Well, you know, this is the arena where we have to do our, speaking up for what we believe in. And if you want to be a city council person, you have to stand up for what you believe in, whether you get it or not. You can't be mad at these people because everybody has their own opinion. I love them all. I thank them for sharing. I'm happy for the way it went, but I'm sorry that we will have to still face some drunk drivers. So y'all be careful out there, because this is not a good thing. I hope that none of us have to encounter an accident based upon a drunk driver. I hope not, because they just voted in 11 more. They just did that. And so, thank you all for coming. I'm so glad to see you here as students. I was a student as well at Austin P, but I didn't finish. I did go on to get my doctor's degree and 3 masters. So just keep on doing what you're doing. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
For the record, Councilperson Smith, there was no slight intended. Now, Councilperson Redd, will you make the motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Without objection, we're done.